at the moment, seemingly out of contention. Adelaide capitulated in the final quarter against the Bombers last week. As Dennis Cometti so aptly described, they went meekly into the night in that match, and they've left themselves with a very big job to do if they are to make the final six. We look at their graph this year. They've had a couple of highlights. They defeated Hawthorn and Melbourne, both in Victoria, but they have been pretty disappointing on the whole. A couple of massive defeats, including a 123-point loss to Geelong. For Sydney, where they started very, very promisingly. It's hard to imagine when you go back, they beat West Coast in the opening game of the season for them and then defeated Carlton at Princess Park. But Sydney has lost its last 5 matches and they're well and truly out of the finals race. The record, well, it's a strange one. Adelaide won all with Sydney, but the match that Sydney won was in Adelaide when Barry Mitchell kicked a goal in the dying seconds, and Adelaide defeated Sydney early in the year last year by 24 points after coming from behind. Let's have a look at the Sydney Swans. They've made their way out onto the field with the Adelaide Crows. And Tim Watson is joining me tonight. And Tim, they are two teams that are out of form, but we should see a pretty good match as we look at the changes. And there's a significant change for Adelaide here because Wiedemann's dropped out of the side at the last minute and Saliba's come in.
Yes, well, of course, we saw Saliba play very well in one of the night games, and it'll be interesting to see how he performs tonight. They only made the one change, Adelaide, from the side that lost to Essendon last week. Very much depending on their centre line of Marshall, Jarman and Swirt. A very good, strong centre line. And also Ingerson up forward and Murphy in the forward pocket there. They will need him to kick a few goals again tonight.
4 changes for Sydney, I was going to say, Tim, with Carroll, Lewis and Thripp significantly coming in.
Well, there's a lot of experience coming back into that side with Carroll and also Thripp. We haven't seen a lot of Thripp in the last couple of years, but they've got a very tall forward line. The Sydney Swans have on the half-forward line, Lewis, John and Nettlebeck, and the forward line, Stripper and Mick McConnell. So they've got a very good, tall centre forward line.
Yes, and Tim could really test Adelaide. They've struggled against tall forwards. Peter McKenna's working with us tonight, and we'll join you for the start of the game after this break. To Football Park, biggest crowd this season's been over 44,000 people. 36 the smallest crowd. I reckon tonight about 30,000. Let's join Max Stevens for the Mitsubishi Motors Ground Report. Good evening, Max.
Good evening, Bruce. And ideal conditions for football. Maybe a little slippery underfoot, but we've had a glorious day here in Adelaide. It's going to be a little bit chilly, though. Let's have a look at the current temperature, and we see it resting at 11.4 degrees. Overnight low. It's going to get chilly on the boundary. 6 degrees, the humidity 76%, not much chance of rain, I'd say no chance whatsoever. The wind, well, it's very still. The goal advantage, none at this early stage, so that makes it for a great game. Ground condition, excellent, but as I said, a little bit of dew, so it will be slippery underfoot in the forecast. Cool to cold and cloudy days, but fine.
Your tip, Max? Your selection, Max?
Well, I have to go for Adelaide at home, despite their performance last week in the last quarter against Essendon.
Thanks for that, Max Stevens. Peter McKenna joining us. Peter, welcome, and your tip for tonight.
Yes, good evening, Bruce. And, well, I'm with Max. I'm going for Adelaide because it's here, although they were very disappointing in the last quarter, the last week against Essendon.
And Tim, you picking Adelaide?
Yes, I'm going for Adelaide, Bruce.
Start of the game at Football Park. Two teams that have been struggling, but they should put on a good show. Wren wins the tap against Tunbridge. That'll be one of the highlights of the night. Two players that have been in excellent form this year. McDermott round the body very quickly. A good take there by Kelly, tapping it towards Mitchell. Off the ground, here's Maynard being hurled by Strooper. Just slings him off, play on called. And Strooper's besieged by Adelaide players left, right and centre. And it'll be a bounce down. Michael Abbott and Hayden Kennedy, the umpires for tonight.
And we must remember, of course, there's Adam Saliba on the bench with Mark Micken. Saliba played a great night game here. Kapler tapping it on. Now sockers it off the ground. Lawson races at it. He's lost it. That was smart. Getting it across to Hart. The running player is Tasker. Sean Tasker. That's a good kick. A long kick. Bayes back with the flight of the ball. Oh, punched away from him. That was good play. Cordy went without it. Bayes off the ground and puts it over the line. But we must remember the Swans won at this ground last year and Adelaide won in Sydney.
And although that was a good kick then by Tasker, I felt that he had plenty of time to put out in front of his forward player. Then he really did kick it to the advantage of the Swans.
Looks like Brunton's got the job, Tim, on McGuinness. And speak of McGuinness, he's on his favourite left foot off the ground. Higgins paves the way. Cordy tries to barge through Marshall, two of the veterans, and goes for holding the footy. Marshall from about 45 metres. Turns 32 on Tuesday. Oldest player in the Crows side. There's Stevie Wright and John looking on, Gareth John. Now Marshall, a good kick, very good kick on the run. Drop punt, he's kicked it very well. It's a goal by the look of it. Adelaide score the first at Football Park through David Marshall.
Adelaide be very keen to get off to a good start. Cordy trying to burst his way through then, and Marshall's a good tackle on him. Just the start that the Adelaide Crows would have wanted.
And there's David Marshall as we see Wren versus Tunbridge. Two players who have had fine seasons. Wren wins it. Oh, crashing his way through with Bickley, who's been in good form in recent weeks. Terry Fripp went without it. Here's Matthew Liptak. Scott Lee on the right foot, hooks it back. Up in front of goal, or racing at it was Brunton. Gets in, oh, here's Brunton, that was Kelly. Brunton, further afield, Mitchell. Sets it up for Brunton again. Brunton to the half-forward line. Or back with the flight was Wren. A good attempt. Darryl Hart tries to get in a quick hand pass. Andrew Jarman shuffles it out to Wren. Back it comes to Bickley. Good play by the Crows. Good teamwork and a nice kick by Bickley. To the half-forward line. It's thumped on by Patterson. This is Doolan looking for the hand pass. No one coming past. And Ben Doolan kicks it wide, and he has found Kelly,
who looks like he might have the job on Schwerk tonight. Schwerk cut Essendon apart early in the game last week. Here's Lewis. Back tonight. Strooper the target. Went for the big fly. Wren does this very well as a defensive ruckman over the top of Tunbridge. Tunbridge caught with a footy. Jarman trying to crash his way through. Carroll over the back with Strooper. And it'll be a bounce down with Sydney slightly in attack.
And Dennis Carroll looks like he's got the job on Jarman tonight.
Jarman hurt his back in the final minutes of the match on Sunday night and was in doubt this week. Repeating Wiedemann a late withdrawal. Free kick to Carroll. He's only played 2 of the last 5 weeks. He's had hamstring problems. Sweeps the handball out to Kapler. Kapler's left foot, normally a penetrating one. Nettlebeck held onto by Smart. No free kick. Simon Minton-Connell goes for goal and might have kicked it, I think. Goal to Minton-Connell, and the first for Sydney, and a quick reply there, so scores all even after a couple of minutes play.
Simon Minton-Connell, who's missed a lot of this season with a knee injury, picking up that goal. But I was just watching downfield then, and McDermott from the Adelaide Crows has got the job on the dangerous Mitchell, and Mitchell is a prolific ball handler.
Scores a level, 1 goal apiece as Sean Wren takes it out of the centre. Made no attempt to handball it, so he's lost it. Mitchell to Brunton. Brunton to the half-forward line. Minton-Connell again, no mark. Thumped away to Nettlebeck. Oh, that was a high tackle. And he's been pinged for holding the ball. David Marshall kicked the first goal of the match, and now he's down in the back pocket. As he brings it around towards centre wing, should be a mark to Doolan, but it's not, as Patterson came from the back. And over the line it went with Mark Bayes, so it'll be a throw-in on centre wing with the scoreboard showing 1 goal apiece.
Former best and fairest at Sydney Bayes. Played a lot of footy. Wren in the front spot that time. Brunton with the job on McGuinness. And he'll get a free kick against Marshall from centre wing. Been very good this year, Brunton. A surprise packet at Sydney. Strooper with a fly. Bickley round his body, but straight back to Brunton again. Played each of the games this season. Quickly on to Angove. He's playing his first game. Good mark at the back by Wren. Missed though by Smart. Lawson over the top. Chance for Nettlebeck. Oh, good play. And he should go. Minton-Connell goes straight through and does. Sydney in front. Minton-Connell's kicked 2 goals. A mistake there by Adelaide, and it's 12-6.
Yes, that was a poor handball, then not reaching its target properly and putting the back line under all sorts of pressure. Lawson getting his body in there, and although not getting a clean possession, just doing enough for the ball to spill out again, and Minton-Connell on the end of a handball. And it's a very promising start by the Sydney Swans. He's also wearing those gloves too, Minton-Connell.
Well, Tony Campbell started the fashion. Well, I think he's got 1 glove on, actually.
That's Michael Jackson.
Yes, 1 glove on his left hand. It was good hand pass by Kepler, too, to Minton-Connell. He could have panicked and kicked it quickly, but a very slick hand pass. So Good play, Darren Kepler. And there's Chris McDermott, where he normally is at the base of the pack. Good hard worker, McDermott. Terrific player for Adelaide. A bounce in the centre of the ground. Oh, Wren and Tunbridge. That's going to be a great clash. Now, that Doolan was held. Socket off the ground towards half forward. Here's a chance for Patterson. Gives it across to Liptak. Now young Ben Hart races into goal and kicks very wide and sneaks it in for a behind. So the Crows move on to 1-1. Sydney remain on 2 straight goals.
Tunbridge, the target, calling the shots, now making a lead. Bay's going with him. Mitchell looks for a free and gets one. Adelaide fans will remember the free kick he got here last year. A little more significant than that one late in the game. Strooper in the front spot. Higgins read it well onto his favourite left foot. Drop punt pass. Nettlebeck run underneath it by Smart. Tasker took a chance, but Minton Connell's already kicked 2 goals against him. Fortuitous for Adelaide here as Marshall swings away from centre wing to centre half forward. Patterson the target. Lee read it well. A bit slow to get his kick away. The left foot. Dunkley leading Ingerson in the race, and also Murphy, who pushes Dunkley, and the ball goes out of play. Just too long there, Lee, wasn't he? Messed it up by taking a long time about it, and well, it must have been a worrying week for Graham Corns after the capitulation last week against the Bombers.
Yes, that game they lost to Essendon in about 5 minutes. The Bombers took over the match, and a big surprise at that stage. It was a pretty evenly contested match. Here's Chris McDermott. Again, it goes over the line, and Tim, I'm looking forward to Ingerson playing on Dunkley. Dunkley I've been very impressed with this year. Very tough, and Ingerson a goer.
Yes, Dunkley is a good player, and I suppose the only thing that he needs to work on is his kicking.
Quick handball by Brown, didn't really go anywhere. Carroll went to ground. Jarman looked for a free kick. Oh, beautifully robbed by Bickley, then caught. Fripp threw it away and will be penalised. Says he handballed. It looked a throwing action. Terry Fripp back tonight. First match in 8 weeks.
And I was talking to his dad just before down. Billy Fripp played with 42 games with Collingwood in the late 50s and early 60s. He's living in South Australia now. Bill was a terrific backman for Collingwood.
Well, he'll be rapt that Terry's made his comeback here at Football Park tonight to the Sydney senior team. He's made a couple of mistakes so far. There's McDermott's thumping kick for a goal. So, Jim, significantly, both Adelaide's goals have come from free kicks tonight. One against Cordy and one against Fripp, and the Crows lead 13-12.
You're not suggesting conspiracy, are you, Bruce?
Nothing of the sort.
The other interesting thing is that before the game I spoke about the centre line of the Crows, and we've got Higgins on Marshall, Carroll on Jarman, and Kelly picking up Swert.
Adelaide by a point. The smother off the boot of Hart as the kick comes down towards full forward area. Nettlebeck as the flyer. It's a loose ball. Still going after it, Nettlebeck. Good play to butter up and go in after it. It'll be a bounce at half forward, but very impressive then, Nettlebeck.
I can't believe Higgins is going right down into the forward line, and his opponent Marshall is staying right back there. So when the Crows do come out of the back line, they'll be able to find themselves a target sitting out there on their own.
Well, that happened a couple of minutes ago too, Tim, so could be costly. And then again, Higgins is a very attacking player. There's McDermott to Wren, very impressive to Hart. Now Maynard, and Adelaide off and running to the half-forward line. Brunton against McGuinness. That'll be some great clashes here tonight as Brunton went towards the line, and then it was helped on its way over the line, and that was by Dunkley. And there he is. I saw him against Hawthorn up at Sydney, and he really kept it, Jason Dunstall, all night under extreme odds.
Bays and Patterson half forward. Adelaide attacking, leading by behind. Doolan thumps it away. Mitchell's reflex handball was good. Kapler's left foot too far for Lawson, missed by Hart, missed by Wren. Maynard's quick little give was okay to Hart, who seems to be playing better in defence. Now Bickley, who's been one of Adelaide's very best. Long drop punt to half forward. Ingerson with a big fly. Patterson's handball to Marshall. Caught, good tackle. Now Brown has an opportunity to kick a goal. Left foot, and he does. So Adelaide has bounced back here at 3-1 to 2 goals. And I guess if you could say that you've ever seen a Rovers goal, that was it from Brown.
It was a real opportunist goal, that, and I thought Marshall almost threw the ball out on that occasion. And the Swans are going to have a bit of trouble when they go into attack if they don't move the ball down the ground quickly, because Wren is falling back there in the hole, and the Swans are playing Strooper at centre-half forward, who's only a 6'2" player.
And you picked it very well, Tim. That replay showed that was a throw by David Marshall. Wren hooks it down with the left hand. Kelly in after it. Still going on with it, Kelly. Now trying to shuffle it out, and that's a poor decision. Really, that was tough on Kelly. He was trying to get that out. Brown to Schwert. Over the top. Scott Lee can kick a ball a mile as he stops and brings it in towards the pocket. No attempt to mark now. Was that Dunkley? It was Andrew Dunkley as he taps it through for a behind. 3-2. Adelaide. Sydney 2 goals. And there's Adam Saliba and Mark Micken warming up. And talking of a mark, here's Mark Bayes about to kick it 60 metres to the half-back line.
Yes, he's a magnificent kick. That one, a low one. Now Bickley, he's got Jarman inside, uses him. Jarman very quickly onto a space. Getting back to Dango, playing his first match tonight. Liptak bringing up the rears, and Ango, the 21-year-old, running it over the line and out of play.
It was well disguised, that.
They've been pretty tough umpires on deliberate at times this season, haven't they? They've been red hot on a couple of occasions. Difficult interpretation. Ingerson in the front. Here's Liptak to Jarman. Or just stepped around 2 players and kicked the goal.
Adelaide lead by 14 points as Wren, look at the way he charges in after it for a big man on the ground. Brown to Patterson. Now on to Scott Lee as they go forward again. Lee on the left foot in towards goal. The pack flies and it comes off the hands and rolls over the line for a behind to Adelaide. But they've really picked up in the last couple of minutes and looking quite dangerous. And there's a young keen supporter down on his lonesome on the fence. Not as big a crowd tonight, Bruce.
No, probably, Peter, around 32 or 33,000 will be the smallest for the season. Wren, still not bad, is it, though? Tunbridge, caught, gets a handball, but here's Wren again. Peter's already mentioned how he fights for the footy. Mitchell over the top, Bickley well played to Lee. Lee short pass, it will sit for Brown. Still with Brown, he should just walk in and kick his second. Well, that's poor. That's called panic. Could have just walked in. I wonder if anyone was talking around him.
Well, you have to wonder that, don't you? He had plenty of time. There's plenty of Crows players around him, and he still rushed.
Actually, it wasn't good play by the Swans either. The way he got that fairly easily, that ball. And backmen weren't coming at him. That was Patterson using his body well. No, it was Murphy, I should say. There's Liptak receiving from Brown. Liptak hooks it, goal. Great snap right through the middle. So Adelaide doing it very, very well here at Football Park. 5-3 to Sydney, 2 goals.
There's another easy goal then for the Adelaide Crows, and the Swans are really being belted around the packs at the moment. They haven't got nearly enough players at the fall of the ball, and they're going to really have to lift their work rate unless they'll be finding themselves further and further in arrears.
5-3 to 2 goals. Liptak with his first. And Sydney's really let themselves down in the last 5 or 6 minutes after a promising start here. Trying to bash his way through as Ango caught.
They need to clear this ball out of the centre. They haven't gone forward for the last 5 or 10 minutes.
In fact, Tim Tunbridge has hardly contested with Wren in the centre bounces. He seems to have either mistimed the run-up a couple of times. Here's Wren. Tunbridge battle side to side within that time. Dunkley. Quick kick by Carroll to half forward, so Sydney do get it up forward. Minton Connell, who's kicked a couple of goals. Here's Strooper. Good take, Strooper. Well played. Should kick a goal. Left foot goes for it. Might have just missed, or has he snuck it in? Goal. Strooper's first, and his 30th for the season, and it's 5-3 to 3 goals.
That's just what the Swans needed, getting that ball down into the forward line. And Strooper did very well then to get rid of his play. He was under enormous pressure when he went for that ball. He managed to shake himself free and to get onto his non-preferred foot. Enough poise to steady and put through a much-needed goal early in this game for the Swans.
Well, a great goal that by David Struper. That might lift the Swans. They badly needed it. Adelaide were getting right on top. There's Tunbridge. That's what they need. Kepler to the half-forward line. Little Lawson against Darryl Hart. Again, a loose ball as it comes to half-forward. Or staging the attempt there was Minton Connell. Taken away by Hart. A lot of potential. Ben Hart to the half-back line. This is Engo. Pretty aggressive and keen, as you would expect in his first game. Dennis Carroll, a chip kick. Finds Barry Mitchell. Mitchell wanted to get on with it. Still wants to go. Outside with a hamper. Good play by Engo, but he panics a little bit and instead of centering the ball, puts it out on the full. So that wasn't a good play, but he's looking very enthusiastic. Bruce?
Had some touches, that's for sure, Peter. You'd be fired up playing your first game. 21-year-old. Here's Tasker. He's been reliable. Missed quite a few matches early in the season. He's played 8 so far. 8 out of Adelaide's 13. Drop punt, good kick. Wren the target. Tunbridge at the back. He had a good hold of it, Wren. Maynard caught and thrust away from Tunbridge. Maynard and Lee, the 2 men who played each game for Adelaide in the season and a half so far.
Well, Tunbridge seemed to mistime that punch too. A ball went through his hand early in the quarter. I just wonder if he wears contact lenses or he's having trouble seeing.
He gets a free kick here and again makes a pretty bad mistake. The handball was awful to Carroll. Put him under enormous pressure, and therefore the kick was very poor. Bickley, now Maynard trying to set it up. Goes wide. McGuinness and Brunton. Well, Brunton ran away from McGuinness. Quickly, I wonder if McGuinness is 100%. A good handball too to Minton Connell. Left foot by Minton Connell. Gets some distance. Tasker, Nettlebeck, oh, an excellent mark. And you mentioned earlier, Tim, that Adelaide could have some trouble with the tall forward line of Sydney's. That was a very good example of that.
There's some tall players on the Swans full line, and that was a great bit of play there by Nettlebeck. Edging his way then and holding on to a strong mark. And this fellow, we haven't seen the best of this fellow yet. I think he's got a lot of ability.
And he's got a lot stronger, Tim, hasn't he? He's obviously been on the weights. Look at the shoulder development.
McGuinness coming off, so I reckon there's a problem for sure with him. And Saliba coming on. McGuinness nowhere near right, the way he went for that ball with Brunton. But we were back with Nettlebeck, kicking from about 40 metres. Drop punt, he's timed it pretty well. I think he might have scored. Just missing. Well, he did score, but not what we were expecting. Behind. So it's 3-1 to 5-3. There's McGuinness. Appendicitis earlier in the year. Made a quick and quite remarkable recovery, but off the ground, and Max will be finding out what's the matter there. OK, Hart's kick out wide.
Yes, a dangerous kick. They often kick in short, Adelaide. Now, has that mark been paid? I think it has. And it will go to Rodney Maynard. Good, honest player, Maynard. Not over tall for a key position player. To the half-back line. Punched down by Struper. On to Engove. Now Kelly. Oh, Kelly, well done. Engove, well, he's in there again. I'll tell you what, he's getting into the action. And good to see. He just looks so enthusiastic for a young player having his first game, Tim.
Yes, and that's what the Swans need. They need to build a side for the future and give these young fellas an opportunity to play league football.
McDermott, who's at the other end of his career, the Adelaide captain. What a stalwart he's been in South Australia. Now Bays. Left foot. Struper, oh, good fly at the back of Wren. Well played, though, McDermott. Going off the ground, Lewis missed it. Lawson run down by Hart. Scooped away by Sydney. Here's Higgins trying to run away from Maynard. Wobbly one. Minton Connell in the front. Smart at the back. Lawson read it well. Could have gone the handball. Now Higgins. Left foot snap. Goes for it. Kicks it. Excellent goal by Sydney. And they've come right back at Adelaide. 5-3 to 4-1.
Yes, and that was very poor play then by Wren, the big ruckman. When he tapped that ball back around the central wing position, he knocked the ball back into play rather than hitting the ball towards the boundary line, and he hit it to a Swans player who picked it up, and they went down and they moved the ball down the field. But the Swans are definitely back in this game.
Well, all of a sudden the margin is 8 points when it looked as though Adelaide was running away with this, but it's a funny game, football. You can't relax for a moment. And Sydney will have a go. Dennis Carroll to the half-forward line. The race is on. Nigel Smart leading out. Oh, the loose ball might... No, it comes back to Smart. Very clever player. That was Bickley. To Darryl Hart. Oh, he's kicked it straight up in the air. That'll almost bring rain. Doolan was the flyer. Kelly in after it. Oh, look at Wren. He is very mobile for such a tall man. Terry Threpp races in after. Well played, Marshall. Doolan. Players congregate around the ball and the umpire. And this time the umpire is Hayden Kennedy, will come in and bounce.
Wren off and Micken on. So a couple of changes for Adelaide, but Wren been given a rest, you'd think. And Micken coming back out. Best and fairest last season. Patterson wins the tap. Quick kick by Brown, didn't go far. Marshall off the ground. Saliba and Liptak onto it. Higgins with him. Liptak caught and holding the football against Liptak.
Oh, and I wonder if moving those big fellas on off the ground like that helps their play at all.
Kelly's handball. Higgins and then Thripp. Not a very good kick and out of play.
And don't just wonder about it, Tim. Do you think it does or it doesn't?
Well, I don't think it does. I think it's a premeditated move, and it doesn't seem to help them at all.
Centre wing. Liptak over, Bickley over the top. Bayes was with him. Here's Saliba trying to barge his way through. Caught McDermott. What's the situation with Tony McGuinness, Max?
Well, it's a hamstring injury, Bruce, and at this stage it's just being strapped. Whether he'll take any further part is yet to be determined.
Well, that is a body blow. Now Hart, quick handball by Schwert. Saliba, Brown, caught, gets a handball away. Saliba tried a half volley, got a little kick away. Now Bayes running out of play. Not sure if you've seen much of Gary McIntosh over the years, but Saliba's a dead ringer for him, a younger version. Gets in hard, long, scraggly hair, tough as nails.
Wouldn't the Crows love to have Gary McIntosh in their side?
Well, they've got the young version, Mark II, I reckon, here. Tapped away, Lee caught.
Half forward for Adelaide. They've picked up the tempo, the Swans. Engo received from Carroll and brings it to the half forward line. There's the pace of Kepler. And talking about pace, or he went without it, Lawson. He's got heaps of pace. Still at half forward this time with the Swans, as the umpire Michael Abbott will come in and bounce. But you just get the feeling the Swans are right back in this now when they were playing fairly poorly early. Still at half forward for Sydney. Micken, well, he wins that tap out. There's Big Tunbridge, handball back towards half forward. Lawson ridden into the ground. Quick kick was by Mitchell. Smart went, tapped down, around the corner goes Lewis. He brings it in and puts it through for a goal. So Dale Lewis kicks his first, and the Swans have really picked up, and now they only trail by 2 points.
The Swans kept pushing that ball forward then, and Minton Connell, an intelligent tap then down to his teammate, and a very cool player just putting the ball onto his boot then, Lewis, and finishing that bit of play off. And the Swans have really bounced back.
(33-31), just 2 points of difference down at Football Park. Carroll trying to barge his way through. Marshall's quick handball. Brown sweeps a handball out wide. Liptak was cut off cleverly by Sydney. Should have been a free kick to Thripp, not coming. Liptak again. A good take by Murphy. A kick by Schwert round the body was a bit awkward. Thumped away from defence. There's Engo. The handball a bit hot for Bayes. Left foot by Lee. Squeezes around for behind. 5-4, 5-1. Now, looks a bad injury there for Neil Cordy, who was injured earlier this season.
Yes,
missed a number of games, didn't he? I wonder if this is a reoccurrence of that injury. Let's have a look at him go down.
Looks like the shoulder again, doesn't it? Yes. And there was a shoulder injury last time, I think, Bruce. As Bayes to the half-back line. Oh, how will the umpire see that? It's play on. Saliba, you're right. He gets into the action. And he's getting the free kick. Adam Saliba to the half-forward line. Oh, he sets up Schwert. Punched down by Thripp, taken by Kelly. Now, Paul Kelly has a bounce. Brings it in towards half-forward. A good duel going on down there. Smart gets a hand. Well played by Lawson. Minton Connell was there also. Lawson, the little terrier, taken by Nigel Smart. Brought down by Minton Connell. Good play. Here's Carroll. Pop one around the head. Still the umpire calls play on, and now it will be a bounce at half forward for the Swans. But a good game of football at the moment. Adelaide by 3 points.
And as that play developed on the flank, then Mark Micken, the ruckman who's on the ground replacing Wren, sprinted right down into the goal square for that kick down the field.
Ben Hart's quick kick back to the centre square. Running back was Nettlebeck. Here's Schwert on the bottom. Nettlebeck just runs him into the ground. Well played, Jarman to Liptak. Back to Jarman. Now, has he hurt his knee? No, he's up in a hurry now. Schwert, quick left foot. Back to a space. A Thrip running with it. Patterson's handball to Brownhill. Here's a chance. If it sits for Liptak, he'll go. Drop punt, goes for it, squeezes it straight through. His second, and against the tide really for Adelaide. They're at 6-4 to 5-1, but Tim, it could be just what they needed.
Yeah, a bit of a steadier for the Adelaide side, and it wasn't very pretty the way they took the ball down the field then, but they just had the numbers at each fall of the ball, and they kept overlapping, and finally it got to Liptak, who finished it off.
Nettlebeck's been forced to the back line with that injury to Cordy, Tim.
It looks like Gareth John going up for the ruck now too.
Yes, John versus Micken. There's Chris McDermott out of the centre. Liptak back with the flight. Oh, read that well. Excellent markers. That ball was floating. And Liptak eyes for the ball. A top mark, that. Well, Matthew Liptak will kick from about 42 metres. Normally fairly accurate. But a much improved player. There's a high floating drop punt. Will it clear the pack, or did it hit the post? If it's a goal, yes it is. So Matthew Liptak has kicked 3 goals, so he's thorn in the side of Sydney. 7-4 plays 5-1.
Yeah, Liptak's been a very lively player, and once again McDermott getting that ball out of the pack. Liptak going back with the fly of the ball. But Gareth John has gone into the ruck for the Swans. The big fella has gone down to the forward pocket, Tunbridge, and Nettlebeck's gone to the back line.
It's got 2 gloves on, John, Tim. A pair of red gloves. Minton Connell with the one off the ground, Sydney. Maynard holds it up for a moment. Carroll over the top with Strooper. And bounce down.
Well, Tony Campbell has really started something in modern-day football with those gloves.
Patented. Didn't Jimmy Steins wear one for a while?
He did.
A couple of years ago, before he won that Brownlow. Now, John and Saliba on the bottom there.
I think Don Scott
Well,
started
I was
the
just about
fashion.
to say, Don Scott was a
many years
trendsetter a long
ago.
time ago.
He's a trendsetter in many things, Don.
I just can't go back that far.
I think the only place for them is washing the dishes, personally.
Well, Mickett over the top. Saliba caught by Brunton, who I guess has now got the job on Saliba. Just would much change Gary Buckenara's thinking when you've got a key tagger for McGuinness and suddenly he's out of the match.
Well, that's right. The other thing is poor Saliba coming onto the ground and getting a tag straight away.
In his first game, here's Carroll. Stopped, propped, waited. Kelly took a chance, got caught, slipped over. Well played, Mitchell to back him up. Little one round the corner to the pocket. Tunbridge loping after it. Hart with him off Tunbridge, was it? Out on the full, going to Sydney.
I thought it was off Tunbridge
So
too.
did I. It's pretty.
Now that's interesting. I thought,
I'm sure that was off Tunbridge.
well, it was close.
Well, maybe Hart just got his foot in.
Yes.
Difficult to tell, wasn't it? Goes short to Kapler, who, Tim, you'd give a good chance from here. He's a magnificent kick.
Well, he'll open up the goals with his left foot too.
Sydney needing this. They trail by 15. It's been a quarter of fluctuating fortunes. Left foot just pushes it away to the side. Hasn't quite made the distance. Big fly by Tunbridge at the back. Here's Bickley off the ground. Cleverly, really, to keep it in. Now Maynard got a very favourable bounce and goes away. And in what's been a most entertaining opening term, with 12 goals scored, Adelaide leads 7-4 to 5-1.
At Westpac, we understand that when it comes to looking after your own, there's no place like home. And to make buying your home easier, Westpac is offering you a special low interest rate of just 8.75% per annum for the first 4 months of your loan. This is a limited offer, so talk to your Westpac manager today, because we want you to be as comfortable with your home loan as you are with your new home.
Peter Shearer Menswear is having a very quick end of financial year sale with famous name suits for only $179. Trousers from $24.95, $29.95, $39.95, $49.95. Sports coats $139, $179. Knitwear $20, $29.95, $49.95, $89.95. Casual jackets from $29.95, $49.95. Business shirts $10, $20, $30. Casual shirts $15, $20, $29.95. Leather jackets $199 and accessories like ties from only $3. And believe it or not, there's more. Peter Shearer's very quick end of financial year sale at Peter Shearer Menswear, Rundle Mall. But if you want to save, you'd better be...
Right now onto the assets. 25 minutes to 3. Don't forget, we're going to be with you right through to 4 o'clock.
You can't change the situation. But how would you like a second chance to choose your tire?
Can tyres make a difference?
Goodyear can.
25 degrees. It's a beautiful day and the surf's up, so listen to this. Serve up for you. Hey.
If it only saves you once a year, it's a Goodyear.
In Rowan Jarman's one and only end-of-year clearance, you can save up to 50% off Nike Air, Reebok, Adidas Torsion and Asics Gel, all at the one low price of just $99. There's even shoes at less than $99 and tennis rackets at up to 65% off, with stacks at $69 and stacks at $99, including Prince, Wilson and Head. Rowan Jarman's one and only end-of-year clearance.
Oh, hello again. This is my little boy Bruce, and we're here to get all this stuff organised for Beaumont Tiles' big stock take clearance. Like these lovely heritage tiles, chucking them out we are from only $18.95. Oh, Bruce! Oh, I shouldn't have said that. All these octagonal mosaics have to go too from only $19.95. Wall and floor tiles from just $14.95, and big Italian ones from only $19.95. That's not even much in lira.
Beaumont's big half-yearly stock take clearance is on now. 200 Grove Street and discount tile warehouses just about everywhere.
It'll all be over soon, Brucey.
Do your own tax the easy way with your PC and this System 1 tax preparation calculator. It does everything in order so you can write a correct tax form. Easy to understand, easy to use. It's only $99. Phone System 1 now.
A few of the boys are surprised when I bought a Mitsubishi Magna. I've been a Falcon man all my life, same as my dad. And my heart said, stick with what you know. But 10 minutes into test driving the Magna, my head said, no competition. The feel, the handling, the dash, they're all spot on. And the Magna's responsiveness, well, was beautiful. Everything was at my fingertips. It's a damn sight cheaper than the Falcon. And while there's cheaper cars around still, the Magna's got a kind of quality you remember long after you've forgotten the price.
7-4-5-1, beginning of the second term. Wren clearly winning the tap. Played the first 17 or 18 minutes and went off. Tripp missed it. Saliba there. Here's Doolan. Oh, well done by Lee to hold it up. Quick handball by Lewis to Mitchell, who had 11 touches in the first quarter, 7 and 4. So he's up to 12 already. Ben Hart over the top of it. Thrown away there by Gareth John. And the free kick going back to Ben Hart at centre wing. 17 years of age. He's played each of the 14 matches this season. It's been a magnificent start to his career. Patterson was looking for a free kick. Liptak held up the Sydney opponent, and a bounce down at half forward. Adelaide attacking.
7-4, plays 5-1. There's Tony McGuinness not looking too happy about things, and Mark Micken, who came on, replaced Sean Wren surprisingly in that first term when Wren was doing well. Dennis Carroll, the centre wing. Maynard, a good honest worker. Rodney Maynard. Half forward Thripp, great use of the body. Too strong on Scott Lee then. Terry Thripp from half back. The half forward line, no mark. The ball hits the deck. Stroop is working overtime. There's Gareth John. Still going in after it. Well played by the big fellow. Terrible kick out wide. Minton Connell versus Smart. They're having a terrific battle, those two. But Nigel Smart very, very quick on the left foot. Heads out wide and puts it over the line, and that delighted the Adelaide crowd.
A good educated kick.
Here's two of the young stars in the AFL. Minton Connell held up with a knee injury earlier this year. Here's John. In fact, Peter and Tim were at Lavington this year when Minton Connell turned a couple of the Essendon defenders inside out in an outstanding game in the Foster's Cup. There's Jarman to Hart, two ex-North Adelaide players. Now Carroll Mitchell throwing it away in the end. Wren cut off by Kapler. Bickley's handball, slow but effective. Lee round the body. Saliba and Angove both playing their first matches tonight. Saliba's little left footer was very good for Brown. Ingerson providing a lead. Brown's going to go to the goal square. One out, Murphy. Over the back was Nettlebeck. Here's Marshall. Will it sit for him? It's usually pretty clever. Coming in very strongly, Kelly just bustles him over the line. And it'll be a throw. And just looking back a moment ago to Micken and McGuinness sitting on the interchange, they're the two players that were prominent in their best and fairest last year. The winner and the runner-up, they're both sitting on the bench tonight. One for an injury and one having a spell.
There's Patterson coming over the back to tap it on. It's kicked off the ground by Thripp. Wren still going on with a good play again by Big Sean Wren. Brilliantly done. Andrew Jarman, the chip pass to the half-forward line. A chance here for Adelaide. Ingerson in after it. Good play by Murphy. He worked very hard there. Patterson. Now Liptak. He's kicked 3. Handball's back. Stephen Schwert around the corner on the left foot. It's a shocker. And out of bounds on the full.
And Wren's a very impressive player, and the Swans have got John running with him all over the ground now, and not allowing him to be on his own back there in the hole.
That was Nettlebeck to the half-back line. Gareth John. Now Higgins. Now Mitchell. Good play by the Swans. No one moving for him. Now there is Lewis. But hotly pressing him was Hart. That was good play by Ben Hart. And he'll take it away out of defence.
Impressively too, Peter. Just sidestepping a couple of opponents and finding Marshall at centre wing.
That was a very clever kick then.
Marshall goes short. Adelaide player loose on his own. Schwert holding him up for it. Schwert too far out to score. Centering drop punt, not a bad kick. Ingerson the target with Murphy. At the back was Nettlebeck. Tapped away all straight to Lee by the Sydney player, and Lee goes for goal, misses. Well, you won't get it much easier than that. Lee with 2 behinds tonight. Adelaide 12 scoring shots to 6. It's 7-5 to 5-1.
The Swans a little bit unlucky to lose Cordy because it's been forced. They've been forced to put Nettlebeck in defence when they had a 2-pronged forward line up there. Nettlebeck to the half-back line. There's Mitchell. Well, he's getting numerous possessions again. Leon Higgins started to muck around with it. Angove. Bays. A bit of a wobbly towards halfway. Wren back into that hole at half-back. Good mark.
And that's exactly the reason why the Swans were zigzagging on their way down the field.
Here's Bickley. Bickley on the left foot. Nettlebeck ran straight at it. Good play, Craig Nettlebeck. Now Struper gets in a hand pass. Brunton. McDermott. Now Liptak. He's going wide. He was looking for Hart. Good use of the body again by Struper. Mitchell was trying to get in a hand pass. The dew on the grass makes it a little bit difficult. That was Carroll. The half-forward line. Tasker. Now Lewis a chance. Can give it on to Lawson. Can race away and bring it in towards goal. And puts it through for a behind. But should have done a little bit more with that ball then, Jamie Lawson.
He should have done a lot more with that ball. In fact, I think he should have turned onto his left foot and tried to centre the ball to the Minton Connell lead up the ground.
7-5-5-2. Smart to bring her back in for Adelaide. 2 half-back. Tunbridge in front of Wren this time. It fell short and Tunbridge able to take the mark. Goes to play on, then gets himself in trouble and has to kick quickly around the body. Minton Connell, strong mark. Got in front of Smart. It was an excellent duel again.
That was a very good kick then by Tunbridge. He got himself into all sorts of trouble then when he moved off the mark. He had to play on. He spotted Minton Connell running up the field and was able to pull the ball back in front of Connell, who ran onto the ball.
He's kicked 2 already. You reckon he was looking for him, Tim?
I've got no doubt about it, Bruce.
30 metres out. Drop punt, kicks it straight through for a goal. 3 to Minton Connell, and Sydney very much in touch in this game at 7-5 to 6-2. And Tim, if they were watching the game on Sunday night, Essendon kept close to Adelaide and were able to run over the top of them in the last quarter. It's a big incentive for them.
Well, it is a big incentive, and it's almost exactly what happened here last year with the Swans. They kept in touch all day and finally ran over them in the end.
Well, Simon Minton-Connell has kicked 3, and most importantly, Sydney have crept a little bit closer, 6-2 to 7-5. This is Bays. Oh, good pick-up by Mark Bays. Onto the right foot and hooks it back to the half-forward line. Another quick goal would be very handy to the Swans. Andrew Jarman showing his class, finds Wren. Wren's got running players everywhere. Stephen Schwert. Darryl Hart was wider, but Schwert elects to bring it in towards half-forward. And the mark has been taken by Saliba, who the crowd have really warmed to. And I think he's the hero for the night, Adam Saliba. Oh, look at this man down there uncontested. Not picked up at all with Schwert as he ducked back to the half-forward line, and he took the mark.
And that's Paul Kelly's man. Sitting down there all on his own, Schwert. And he'll line up from about 40 metres.
Well, he had a running shot a moment ago and put it out on the full. This time he's got a set shot. Very little angle. Kerry Thripp trying to put him off on left of screen there. Stephen Schwert, if he's a typical left footer, he'll hook it, which he does. Doesn't let me down. Peter Sumich. Who else could we name? Well, those left footers, Tim, they just seem to do it time and time again. And the Adelaide Crows cheer squad, well, they still seem pretty happy after that kick, Bruce.
Well, they lead by 9 points, 7-5, 6-2. In the early stages of the second term, Bays at the back. Here's Mitchell, McDermott, the two 10s run together and over the line and out of play. Barry Mitchell on a stay of proceedings at the moment. That's the word for it with the AFL, and there'll be more about that next week.
And Brunton has moved off Saliba and he's gone on to Liptak, who's already kicked 3 goals in this game.
Bays, well done. Now Marshall, Liptak, Jarman, left foot right to the goal square. Murphy and Patterson. And running it over the line was Bays for another behind. So Adelaide 7-6 to 6-2. Ingerson and Murphy have been the focal points for Adelaide in the last couple of weeks. Just struggling. I doubt whether they've taken a mark between them at this stage. Bays to bring it back in.
Well, those Swans backmen are pretty good players. Mark Bays and Nettlebeck. Nettlebeck's played a lot of football at fullback. And of course, Cordy was there earlier, and he's a very experienced player, so they won't get it easy down there, the Adelaide players. There's a quick kick to the half-forward line, and the mark has been taken by Kelly on the Bays. Bays, a beautiful kick to centre wing. Thumped on. It's good play by Kepler, but it's grabbed by Andrew Jarman. Look at that. Full of class, Andrew Jarman to Bickley. Mark Bickley, a long kick to the half-forward line. Tunbridge floats across the front of the pack, one-handed. Still fighting for it, though. There's Murphy. Going in after it was Murphy. Scott Lee, quick hands. Terry Thripp, was that a free kick? No. Engove, caught. That'll be holding the ball. As Engove tried to break the tackle. A good, strong tackle by Murphy and a free kick to Adelaide.
There's a lot of good pressure then by the Adelaide forwards. The Swans trying to get the ball out and go well and truly tackled then by Murphy.
Michael Murphy came to Victoria, to North Melbourne, and didn't really make it. And back with Adelaide. And it's normally a pretty good kick. He'll kick from 40 metres directly in front. Oh, there's an ordinary kick on this occasion in the night air, and it doesn't even make the distance. So that was a poor kick.
The other poor thing then by the Adelaide Crows was that there was only one forward down there right on the goal line. They should have had another tall player down there contesting the ball.
Well, Patterson off and Micken on. So Micken will probably go to centre half forward.
Bays to bring it back in. So Graham Corn's running both Micken and Wren. Jarman was the flyer. Here's Wren again. Schwert, clever. Jarman can go for goal. Drop punt, sizes it up and squeezes it through for second. 2 to Jarman. He missed a couple last week on the run like that, and Adelaide now stretch it to 8-7 to 6-2.
That was a very good play then by Schwert to knock that ball on. And Jarman, who's a very good finisher, just strolling down the field, kicking that goal. And it's good to see that they're leaving Sean Wren on the field. He's given the Adelaide Crows a lot of life on the ball, and Micken's taken his place in the forward line.
Adelaide kick clear, 8-7 to 6-2. Brunton straight up in the air. Bickley back with the flight. So was Lewis. There's Wren again. Very impressive. Liptak. Jarman. Now Chris McDermott. The leaders onto the half-forward line. Chance for the Crows. The loose ball to Tasker. Tasker to Murphy. An open goal looms and Murphy slams it through. Great play, Adelaide. As we see the scoreboard, Adelaide 9-7 lead the Sydney Swans 6-2.
And one of the dangers of playing a backman is losing your footing, as we see there. Dunkley losing his footing, his opponent staying on his feet, going back, picking the ball up, and Murphy finishing it off. And Wren continues to impress me the way he follows up the ball, and for a big fellow, he plays like a ruck rover, doesn't he?
Extremely mobile. Tasker up forward for Adelaide. Oh, he's an exciting player, this man. Scott Wine's been probably the ruckman in the competition this season, but I think he's number 2. The impact he's had. Tunbridge. Lawson. Caught in the end. Doolan's quick handball. Saliba ridden into the ground by Lawson, gets a free kick.
Bad play, Lawson.
When I say number 2, I don't mean he's the second best at this stage, but he certainly had the second best season to date. Now Marshall at centre wing. Short hard if he wants him. Decides to go long. Maynard the target, and geez, Sydney took a long time to fill a hole there. Maynard on his own, and the ball took ages to get to him, and still able to take the mark. Loves to run off halfback, doesn't he?
He's very strong overhead too, Bruce.
Short to Liptak, so a lot of holes suddenly appearing. Now Hart's running on for Adelaide on his own. Now Brunton's going to fill that hole. Maynard getting down there as well. Liptak might fancy himself here. He's kicked 3. Why not go for it? Tucked away in the pocket. The dead pocket in Adelaide. Drop punt, and he's just missed. It's a hard one to kick goals from that pocket, and it's 9-8 to 6-2. Max Stevens on the boundary line.
Paul Patterson, just coming off before, has gone down into the rooms. He has a shoulder injury, and the physiotherapist is working on it as we speak.
Bayes to bring her back in. Thanks for that, Max.
Well, the Swans will have to get a move on Adelaide, getting right on top. There's Micken and Wren raffling that one, and Micken was in front and took the mark. Micken trying to get it moving quickly. Nice looking kick too to the full forward line. Up they go now. Bayes will have to be paid this one because he was the man in front, and good umpiring. Bayes wide looking for Kepler. Kepler tried to kick it instead of grabbing it. And was that high on Swert? I think it was, yes, and the umpire will pay that to Stephen Swert. And there it is, far too high by Leon Higgins. I thought Kepler should have picked that ball up instead of trying to kick it in midair.
Made it worse for him. Petey ran straight into Higgins when Higgins had it. Tunbridge in the front spot. Wren at the back. Mitchell's little kick didn't go far. Kelly's handball didn't go very far. Strooper tried to carry it forward. Angove off the ground, gets some distance. 24-point margin at the moment, the biggest in the game to date. Lawson goes to ground. Boundary throw in at centre wing.
There's an interesting duel out there at the moment. Micken has gone to centre half forward and he'll provide a very tall target for the Adelaide Crows coming down the field. But I just get the feeling that Bayes, who's very athletic, may be given the opportunity now to run off his opponent.
Just saw Patterson a moment ago on the bench with McGuinness. So Adelaide effectively down to 18 fit men. Repeating Cordy's gone off for Sydney. So the Swans down to 19. Schwert look for a free kick. Jarman's handball out to Brown. Now Wren goes to ground. Caught. Ridden into the ground. Mitchell, who was the big possession getter in the opening term, to Kapler. Ex-South Adelaide player. Gee, a booming torpedo punt. Gets some distance. Ingerson now playing in defence. Here's Strooper, who kicked a terrific goal in the first quarter. Maynard hanging off him at that stage. John tries to force it through. Still Strooper. Ben Hart was in the action. So is Darryl Hart. And Darryl Hart to get a free kick against Lawson in the back pocket.
Yes, Adelaide worked a bit harder than the Swans up there then in that back pocket area.
I think they've worked a lot harder all this quarter. Actually, their tackling has been fantastic.
Darryl Hart chips it across to Ben Hart. He really is a class act. He looks at football as he charges away and finds Micken. That's beautiful play. Stephen Swert. Not so good around the corner of that kick. Murphy is there now. Tasker. Well, he tried to shuffle it off to Murphy. Still Tasker. Murphy. Handball over the top is Swert. Oh, they went without it. Doolan shuffles it out. off the ground by Bays to the wide open spaces. Adam Saliba will wait for it. He's got it. Little chip pass. And Schwert, is that a free kick against Doolan? I think it is for a push, yes. It'll be paid to Schwert right out there at half forward.
Had a slow start tonight compared with on Sunday night, but he's picked it up. Lawson off for Sydney, and coming onto the ground is Stevie Wright. Schwert goes short to Murphy. Get the feeling, Tim, that with 10 minutes remaining before half-time, see Lawson on the bench with Cordy. Very injured, obviously, Cordy, with a wry smile. But he's seen a bit of footy over the years. But you get the feeling, Tim, that crunch time for Sydney here with Adelaide 4 goals in front. Well, not a good kick.
It's 2 poor kicks by Murphy. That one went about... admittedly, it was meant to be a pass, but only travelled 20 metres.
Mitchell, the recipient. Elbow heavily bandaged on the left. High drop punt. Tunbridge his target. Bickley ran around in front. Here's Kapler. Little left footer towards the boundary line. It will run out of play. Here's just going back on that point, Tim. Sydney have got to make an inroad here in the next 7 or 8 minutes.
They have to lift their work rate. If you look at any ball that comes free, no matter where it is on the ground, the Adelaide Crows are outnumbering their Sydney opponents.
Well, 39 kicks to 22 is indicative of how well Adelaide is playing. Here's Saliba. He's looking for Brown. Brown on the left foot brings it in towards half forward. It's thumped away by the Swans defence. Kelly. Ooh, Saliba nearly had a collision. Scott Lee. Micken. Now a chance for the Swans to get it out through... Oh, Thripp went straight to Lee. Now Micken taken by Mitchell. Mitchell looking for Dennis Carroll. Now it's Kapler. Oh, Kapler just wildly went with that hand pass. That was Saliba. Scott Lee again to the half-forward line. Thumped the ground. It was pretty tough out there. Here's Chris McDermott, a thumping kick in towards the pocket. Oh, good mark running back to the flight. And that was Michael Murphy. Eyes for the ball. And a good, strong mark, Tim.
It was a good, strong mark. Do you think he can make the distance, Pete?
Well, there's Dunkley having to push. I think he might make the distance, Tim, but it's a tough shot. He's right on the boundary line. He might run out to the left. And look at this great camera shot. He should run out to the left and kick it on the left here, but he's not going to. He's going to have a direct kick, and it's a good-looking kick. Goal.
(68-38). Murphy with 2 goals, so he's picked it up in the second term. Wren and Tunbridge. Tunbridge won that one. Carroll round the body. Someone must lead from the front from the Swans here. Ben Hart gets back. Well, poor handball. Strupler caught though by Maynard. Now Nigel Smart. Quick kick to centre wing. Marshall sitting underneath it. Takes a good mark. Has Saliba if he needs him. Held up though by Higgins. Adelaide on a roll now. Marshall to the space. Tasker on a long leg, gets pushed, no free kick. Micken sits and waits, tries to get it up to Liptak, unable to. Bay's very happy to see it over the line, don't you?
Professional one.
He's ecstatic, I think, Chris.
Just 25 years of age, and he's played 146 games, Mark Bayes. A lot of footy.
Yeah, good player, good honest player, Bayes. And talking about honesty, there's Mitchell. Schwert, quick kick, out on the fall. So it will be another kick coming up to Barry Mitchell. And what a great little goer he is as he kicks it across to Brunton. He's another goer. Neil Brunton. Not a good kick. Scott Lee waited for that. I thought he could have marked that. Doolan to the half-forward line. Hart with pace. Got there first to thump it away. Lewis. Now Tunbridge. Good play by the big ruckman. Oh, the advantage paid. It was a free kick to Tunbridge. Kapler the long kick. It's all Adelaide though, and he seems to have found his niche in defence. Darryl Hart as he kicks it away to Maynard.
Awkward kick. Maynard under pressure. Bickley. Gee, it was a good take by Bickley. Well, tried to trip him there, Tunbridge, and he'll come back.
Will that be reportable? Attempted trip? I wonder.
Well, more famous one with Paul Deere and Peter Foster earlier this year.
Well, have a look at this. Is that attempted trip or not?
I guess the bottom line was that he didn't break his leg.
No, exactly.
Bickley into the centre. Micken. Liptak. Well, look at this to Hart. 50 metres out. Normally very skillful. Drop punt, goes for it and kicks it. His first. And Adelaide have dashed knocked away now. What looks to be a match-winning break, even at this stage, 11-8 to 6-2.
And the Adelaide players playing with a lot of confidence, not afraid to leave their man and run down the field. And Hart is in the back pocket on Stevie Wright, going right down the field, feeling confident enough to make the play, finding space.
(11-8 to 6-2). And they're doing it very, very well, Adelaide. Oh, the boots went in there. It's pretty rough at those ruck duels at times. And Don Scott is stinging over. We'll be loving that when the knees and the boots go out. As we see racing after Higgins to tap it over the line. But getting back those trips, they're not vicious things, are they? When that boot goes out, you can see they're not trying to maim a player, but it can be dangerous at times, Tim.
Yeah, it is a dangerous thing, and I suppose that the intent is just to slow the player down. But,
right. Yeah, it's not there to try and injure the player, which is the good part about it.
Yeah, no malice really. There's a Brunton. Minton Connell getting a very good mark for the second time in this term. He's kicked 3 goals, Simon Minton Connell. He's only played 6 games this season. He's kicked 15 goals in those 6 games. Gee, that's a good grab.
Isn't it good to see the full forward playing in front? And that's the good thing about Simon. He gets in front and fights for it.
With one glove as he goes for goal. Will this be number 4? He's kicking from about 45 metres. Drop punt looks pretty good off the boot. It's straight through for another one. 4 goals for Minton Connell. A significant contribution at 7-2 to 11-8.
And Minton Connell's played very, very well when you consider that they've only had the ball down there a number of times this quarter. It's been getting across to the half-forward line and being repelled by the Adelaide backman. And Minton Connell showing the advantage of playing in front. And even those wobbly kicks that do fall short, if you're in front, you've always got the opportunity.
Well, Simon Minton Connell comes from pretty good stock. His mother, of course, is Peter Hudson, the great Peter Hudson's sister. And his dad was an excellent player in Tasmania, Adrian Minton Connell. Thought you'd be enthusiastic about all that trivia there, Bruce.
Well, if he was a racehorse, I'd say he's well bred.
Oh, it stunned me, Mac. I've fallen off my chair.
Well, pretty good breeding being related to Peter Hudson. There's no better goal kicker, as that was Doolan trying to boot it off the ground. Carroll. Oh, look at Wren. Tremendous play by Wren to get that to the advantage of the team, to Marshall. The half forward, almost. Oh, look at Saliba going on with a good play. Adam Saliba gets it to Chris McDermott. One-on-one contest down in the goal square. Nearly a mark to Murphy. Almost gave a free kick in the finish. Brown around the corner. And Brown, what's he done? He's hit the post, to much the dismay of the Adelaide supporters. As Graham Corns looks on, just under 4 minutes of play left. And of course, Graham will be coach of the Adelaide State of Origin team against the Vics. Bruce?
July 7, the date for that one. I thought Tasker was on his own in the goal square there with Brown. There's Nettlebeck straight down the centre. Micken. The back thumping it away was John. Dunkley crashes his way through. Kapler got a good bounce. Gets a second chance. Left foot pass. Here's Stevie Wright for the first time. Now Smart. Quick handball to Hart. And free kick down the ground against Kapler. Running into Hart, charging in, and the free kick will go to Liptak. He's been very good with his 3 goals and giving a sweeping handball to Hart. That one towards Murphy in the front. Dunkley at the back. Here's Saliba. A little bit fancy that time with the one hand. Dunkley. Thripp worried out of it by Murphy. Now Thripp gets back. A very tough ball tonight to control. Be slippery and pretty hard to take it with one grab. And it'll be a bounce down on the 50-metre zone.
And Kapler, who hasn't looked a very confident player tonight, giving away a very poor free kick down the field. He just jumped into the player then.
Half forward for Adelaide. There's Kapler tapping it on. Dennis Carroll. Well, he took a long time to get rid of it. Doolan. Centre wing. There's Wren getting in there again, but taken by Stroop. I've been very impressed with the way Stroop is attacking that ball. He's found Bays. Now Bays is out on centre wing. Beautiful looking kick again. Oh, free kick. Should have been a free kick to Ingerson, who was held. And the umpire wasn't going to pay it. Jarman to Lee. Scott Lee, the chip pass. That's a clever kick to Darryl Hart, who's using his intelligence to make a lot of space. Another chip pass coming across. McDermott.
And the Swans have made a couple of moves. They've put Bayes at centre-half forward. He's been picked up by Smart. And the Crows have made the move of Smart off Mitton Connell, and Ingerson's gone back into the back line.
Chris McDermott waiting for someone to lead, and he might be forced to kick long. He is. To a pack of players. Up they go. It's almost taken by Micken in the finish. It's shuffled away. Andrew Jarman cleverly put it on the ground. Now on the left foot, brings it in front of goal again. Danger for the Swans. The pack of players again, and it comes off hands and through for a behind to Adelaide. But it's been Adelaide's quarter. They've looked far too good and desperate. Look at the scoring shots. 11-10 to 7-2. So that's 21-9.
And 10-3 in this quarter, Peter. They kick 4-6 Adelaide to 2-1. Nettlebeck goes wide. Tunbridge's target. Squirt with him. Wren went to ground, tapped it away. Well played though by Kelly that time. Doolan. Liptak able to carry it forward. And with less than a minute and a quarter remaining now, the second minute 16, Adelaide in a great position at 76-44. Remembering Sydney's lost 5 games in succession. They started the season by beating West Coast. They beat Carlton at Princes Park. There's Jarman very cleverly to Squirt, who goes around onto his left foot and then kicks one right to the square. Tasker was the flyer at the back. Again off hands for another behind. 11-11 to 7-2. And the old terminology, they're peppering the goals at this stage. The Crows, much to the delight of their fans. That gentleman not all that happy with that result. Just saying, exactly right, isn't it? That's how you do it. He's got a glove on as well, Tim.
And the Swans are trying to improve their forward line, get a little bit more run into their forward line. They've put Higgins down there on the forward flank, and Kepler has come up onto the wing, onto Marshall.
And here's Wren at the back. Look at that for disciplined play. A 30-metre punch. He's found Chris McDermott. Great play by Wren. McDermott around the corner, hooks it back and puts it through for a behind.
McDermott perhaps choosing the wrong option there. Liptak had moved into the hole about 10 or 15 metres out of the top of the square, and I think perhaps McDermott should have screwed that ball back into that player.
And I would like to have seen the camera on that man in the crowd again to give us a coaching tip on how he should have kicked that ball too, Tim.
Stevie Wright and Darryl Hart having some fun in the forward pocket. That's what the crowd are getting excited about at the moment. They've sorted themselves out.
They've been going for about 3 minutes, those two.
Nettlebeck's kick. Quick handball away by Wren. Here's Kelly in the last 20 seconds now of the first half. Sydney's been disappointing after they challenged Adelaide in the opening term. Off the ground by Schwert and a ball in. Barry Mitchell, 11 possessions to quarter time. He'll be up around 16 or 17. There's Micken and John. Micken, the inaugural captain of the Brisbane Bears, as the siren sounds for half-time. A game that has really fallen away for Sydney in the last 15 or 20 minutes. Adelaide taking a grip on this with 3 goals to Liptak and 2 to Murphy and Andrew Jarman. And for Sydney, Minton Connell with 4. Stevie Wright, whose season was interrupted with injury. But well and truly, the Crows on top at half-time. They lead 11-12-78 to 7-2-44. The second half, you'd expect Sydney to come out firing here. Jarman with the first kick in the second half. Had a look at his stats at halftime. He was very, very good. Angove off the ground, again off the ground. Saliba to Lee. That's his 12th kick tonight. Murphy in the front spot. With him is Nettlebeck, and over the line and out of play. Adelaide 34 points in front. Murphy with 15 goals so far this season in this his 6th match for the year, so he's averaging 2.5 goals a game, and that's not a bad return from the forward pocket. There's Micken, Carroll, Liptak to Jarman. Good kick round the body, right to the goal square. Murphy was in the right spot. Then Dunkley, still Dunkley. Oh, geez, gone without it. Murphy could make him pay with the left foot. I think he has from Spurs. Well, what an error by Dunkley. A sensational goal in the end. 12-12 to 7-2. But I'm pretty sure that Andrew Dunkley, Tim Watson, would be embarrassed when he looks back at this one.
Yes, he'll have nightmares over this. He really should have taken this ball with him. Either rushed it over the boundary line I suppose at the back of the players' minds these days is the fact that they don't want to be penalised for taking the ball over the boundary line, but he did make a poor effort with that, and Murphy making him pay.
Well, a poor way to start the third quarter by the Swans. A basic error there. There's Wren. He had a pot shot at that the first time, and then eventually went and got it again. That was McDermott, the half forward. Saliba. And the crowd roar every time he goes near the ball. Adam Saliba, the kick, a beautiful kick. Good lead by Tasker. And Tasker has marked 35 metres from goal directly in front.
Peter, I think we're going to hear a lot more about Saliba.
Well, I'm surprised he hasn't been played as we look at the replay. Look at that pass. I'm surprised he hasn't been played earlier, Bruce.
Max or no, but I'm pretty sure he injured himself early in the year and missed a fair bit of footy both in the SANFL and a chance with the Crows.
Sean Tasker started off in defence. Will kick from directly in front. Good looking kick for a goal. So that's his first goal of the game. Most importantly, as far as the Crows are concerned, they've kicked well clear 13-12 to 7-2.
And once again, you see the benefit of getting that ball out of the centre. Ran up in the ruck, the ball moving down the field quickly onto Saliba. And Saliba's impressed me as much with his vision as anything, spotting Tasker on the lead, and then his positioning of the ball was absolutely perfect.
His second goal, Tasker, in AFL, played mainly in defence. First one tonight, 13-12, 7-2, 90-44, 46-point margin. This has got out to, there's Mitchell's kick. Bayes tried it with the one hand. Thrip went to ground. Maynard with him and Bickley. Off the ground by Hart, who has had his career rejuvenate. Oh, Wren, well played. Sold him. Dummy. Liptak unable to take full advantage of it. Then caught up in the end. Goes to ground. Carroll into the back and a free kick to Adelaide. In fact, going to Liptak, not McDermott. Thought it was McDermott that got rode into the ground by Carroll. But a pity for Adelaide that Liptak couldn't take that cleanly, because Wren's play was very good. Here's Liptak to centre half forward. Micken the target in the front spot. Carroll at the back. Schwert and Kelly. Kelly's been a bit quiet tonight. Probably hasn't had as good a season this year as he had last, and out of play.
Yes, and I think Coach Gary Buckenara would be very disappointed in the limp performance so far by the Swans. They've been almost uninterested at times.
Yes, it's been a pretty ordinary performance. Here's Schwert to the half-forward line. Good use of the body down there by Murphy. Tasker then tried to tap it on. Murphy again. How will the umpires see that? Play on, and now holding the ball against Murphy. He appealed for the original free kick. Nettlebeck's battling very, very hard in defence. And here's Kapler, former Fitzroy player. Brunton. Looks like he might have the job on Jarman. Higgins. Leon Higgins have to come back over the mark he wanted to play on. Leon Higgins, only 3 kicks. Half forward line is Strooper. Handball's back. Brunton to the pocket. Terry Thrip was there, but it's all Adelaide as Bickley gets it across to Wren. And look, he's got tons of time. Is he a class player? Sean Wren. Oh, good use of the body, but no mark in the finish to Maynard. Taken away by Matthew Liptak to the half-forward line. Over the back was Micken. Well done as he taps it on to Saliba. Saliba breaks clear from 45 metres, fires in a goal and slams it through for a great goal. So good play by Adelaide. They're well on top. Adam Saliba kicks his first, 14-12 to 7-2.
It's probably been the most fluent movement of the ball so far tonight. Adelaide Crows getting the ball to Micken. They're using Micken as a big target across the centre half forward line. Although he's not particularly mobile, he's providing them with some timber when they go forward, and Micken cleverly knocking that ball out then to Saliba, and Saliba finishing it off.
Well, the way Adelaide is going, it's looking at its biggest win for the season, 14-12 to 7-2. Really dominating Sydney, who, as Tim described accurately, have been limp, particularly since quarter time. Here's Kapler out of the centre. Drop punt pass. Minton Connell, who's been the shining light with 4 goals. Drags a tackle around when he kicked number 5. Drop punt, goes for it. Gee, a terrific performance by Minton Connell. Well played. 5 goals he's kicked. It's been a lone hand. It's been like the Lone Ranger. He's been looking for Tonto, though. Chimney can't find him. 8-2 to 14-12.
It's been a virtuoso performance by Minton Connell down there in the forward line. And really, he's been the dominating forward on the ground tonight. The Adelaide Crows have switched a lot of players through their forward line, trying to find a worthy attack. And the Sydney Swans have reshuffled their forward line also. But the fellow who's really been dominant tonight down there has been Minton Connell, and he's continuing on his way in the third quarter.
Well, that was a great goal by the full forward. Really was a class goal. As we go back to the centre, thump down towards Tunbridge, loses it in the tackle. Kelly looking for Kepler. Kepler off the ground to the half-forward line. The race is on. Bickley and Thripp. And it rolls over the line. No free kick. Adelaide crowd, every one of them thought it was, but I think the umpire was right.
Kepler this quarter has gone on to McDermott, and he's actually playing off McDermott and getting quite a number of possessions for the Swans.
Tunbridge and Wren. Now Schwert, who had 9 kicks in that second term. Oh, Saliba judged it well, unable to take the mark. Still Saliba, the handball to Tasker. The left foot across the face of goal, and that's out on the full. Unfortunately for Adelaide, a good build-up there. Now Nettlebeck to bring it back in.
That was also a good kick then by Schwert into the forward line. He kicked to space, he kicked to the favoured side of his teammate Saliba and gave him every opportunity to create.
So Nettlebeck, the 20-year-old, just taking his time. Drop punt. Tunbridge is his target. Wren at the back. It's easily been the best big man on the ground, Wren. Lewis. And that's smothered by Wren. Well played, big fellow. And he really is an exciting prospect. One of the most encouraging signs, I think, for Adelaide has been Wren and Ben Hart this season, because they're the type of players they'll build off. Micken, good tap down. Maybe we should include Saliba. Lip tax handball to Brown. Brown over the top, strong. Here's Tasker with a chance. Kicked his first goal for the season a moment ago. There's his second. Well, don't you think he loves it up in the forward line as Adelaide go to 15-12 to 8-2. That's Dunkley and Lee, not too happy with themselves, but Lewis coming in.
Once again, there was a lack of pressure there by the Swans back line. Tasker getting the ball, having to go back and kick around the corner, but having all the time in the world. In fact, there was 2 players from the Adelaide side arrived before any other Swans.
Well, Adelaide doing as they like at the moment, 15-12 to 8-2, and as Tim Watson has said a couple of times, just not enough pressure from the Swans. That's McDermott getting it to Jarman to the half-forward line. A poor kick. Oh, dangerous hand pass and chipping in the lip tack, but the umpire, now he's calling play on. All the players stop. Here's Saliba. Oh, well done, Saliba. Great effort to Murphy. Murphy runs in. Bang, another one to Adelaide. So Murphy kicks his 4th, and this is a very, very ordinary effort by the Swans. A good play, Adelaide, of course.
Well, the Swans players then, I'm still trying to work out how Murphy got there on his own. He was about 30 metres in the clear then. His teammate, well, his opponent, Nettlebeck, had run down the field anticipating that his Swans teammates would get the ball and he'd be there to provide some run out of the back line. But as it's been most of the case tonight, the Adelaide Crows defenders putting a lot of pressure on the back line, and the ball spilling out to Adelaide Crows, and Nettlebeck being caught offside.
Murphy with 4, continuing his goal-scoring feats. 16-12, 8-2. Accurate kicking in this term. Adelaide's kicked 5 straight. And Minton Connell, the goal scorer for Sydney. Handball out by John. Jarman's playing very well to Maynard. Adelaide growing in confidence. They're really building on something here. Marshall through the centre to centre half forward. Saliba's had a terrific term. Stevie Wright's got the job on him, so it's the old and the new there. Free kick to Wright. The veteran, 31-year-old, out wide. Now it's got to go back. 240 games, Stevie Wright. Here's Lewis, who's had a quiet night. Hardly had a touch. Front spot, Bickley. McDermott went to ground. Smart went without it. Here's Bays. Steady, no pressure again. Bays drop punt. Minton Connell was his target. Didn't get that far, and the mark taken by Hart.
Poor kick, wasn't it, to Minton Connell?
Hart wide to Smart. He's got a paddock in front of him. Take his time and bang it to centre wing.
Here's Nigel Smart now playing at centre half back. The mark taken by Micken because running underneath it was Carroll. Here's Saliba, who's doing well. Oh, clever kick. Not being able to get there with Maynard from the back line having a pot shot at goal, and Rodney Maynard has slammed it through for yet another one. So that's his first, and when the backmen are kicking them, they're really on top. 17-12, plays 8-2.
And this is a really dispirited Swans team. That all started then when Mark Bayes forgot to pick up his man Nigel Smart in the back line. He was standing in the middle of the field. Smart had moved away onto his own, and then the ball just rebounded all the way down the field, and that's very disappointing from a player who's so experienced.
One-way traffic at the moment, 17-12 to 8-2. Adelaide have really stretched what looked to be a handy lead in the second term out to what surely is a match winner. Mitchell for one of his few touches in this third quarter, I should say. And the mark being paid to Hart, who's had the better of Lawson. Now to Ben Hart. Ingerson's running out wide. He's a left footer. It should suit him. Well, gee, took too long. He was in a daze in the end. Scott Lee. Higgins with him, still Lee. Nettlebeck to try and go with him. He holds it up pretty well. Murphy runs it over the line and out of play. Rebound good, wasn't it, from the back?
And Simon Minton-Connolly chased all the way out to the wing then, which was great play. As the hit-out's 5-1 in favour of Adelaide. Not surprisingly, Bruce, the way Sean Wren's playing.
No, he's dominating, Peter, as he's done so often. Micken that time. Now Mitchell's quick kick around the body. Schwert was sitting and waiting for a bounce. Kelly with him. Good tussle that time. Tapping it forward right. And Mitchell, well, not a good result from Barry Mitchell. Off one step out of bounds on the full. 15-9 for Mitchell, but as Tim mentioned at half-time, a lot of his kicks have been ineffective. Jarman. Drop punt. Murphy in the front spot. Well played, Nettlebeck that time. Out of play. So Adelaide's done all right when you consider that Modra and Klug and Jamison, who's playing for Glenelg tomorrow,
and Hodges
are all out.
Yes, they're four best forwards probably out of the side, so they've done well. They've had to play a few weeks without those guys, and who knows the difference that would have made with them in. There's a quick kick. It's taken by Chris McDermott. Now Marshall brings it back to the forward pocket. Is this a mark? No. Lewis will go to the line, I would think, and that's the way you disguise it. Just a little fumble at the opportune moment.
I think he would have been better off going towards the goal square on that occasion. If the ball does fumble from that position, it's still a dangerous ball, whereas if you kick close to the boundary line, it's knocked out.
Yes, dead right, Tim, as it's kicked away by Lewis. Schwert. Now it's Murphy, who's kicked 4 goals. Can he kick his 50? Tries to hook it back, and this could be out in the full. It is.
That's another situation where Murphy would have been better off trying to centre the ball rather than trying to have a snapshot from that angle. He's 50 metres out, and been an incredible kick to snap one from 50 metres.
Leon Higgins. Normally the Swans away from home are very, very competitive. They've had some great wins away from home. Marshall to the half-forward line, but tonight, at times they've almost looked disinterested. Micken went without it. As players pounce in, it'll be a bounce at the 50-metre line.
Lewis picking himself up. It's one of those wins, Peter, was at this ground last year, effectively putting Adelaide out of the finals race.
Well, they beat Carlton this year at Carlton.
Done very well. They were very competitive against Collingwood at Victoria Park early in the season. Jarman, Lee caught, whipped off it. Here's Doolan. Maybe they can gather something from here. Kapler to Mitchell running with it, tucked it under the arm, touches it on the ground. Again, Jarman can't quite get him. Still Mitchell, then chips very poorly in the end. Hart, well played, smart, clever. To Marshall, sidesteps, a quick handball. Ben Hart with reflex, and then to McDermott. Adelaide build it up. McDermott stops and waits and must be called play on now. Chips it to Darryl Hart. Well, that's poor play, McDermott. In fact, Mitchell and McDermott should have points taken off them, not given a kick each. They both messed up what could have been good opportunities. Here's Barry again. Let's hope he makes the best of this one.
Yes, that was Brunton getting it to him. Here's Steve Wright, has been a terrific player over the years for the Swans, a real stalwart. And pushing the back to Adelaide to Wren, and well, I just sing his praises all the time, but you just can't help be impressed with that man. And Saliba's had a magnificent quarter. Adam Saliba to the half-forward line. Oh, big mark by Micken. As he gets back quickly to get it to his forwards. A floating ball. Tasker overran it. Dunkley back with the flight. This time he heads for the line and a push in the back against Sean Tasker. So Dunkley will take it. This is Andrew Dunkley on the kicks on his right foot. Oh, dangerous kick to the half-back line, but it might come off because Carroll's there to lend a hand to Kelly.
From half-back to centre wing, Bays in the front, Smart at the back, Doolan. Good tackle by Marshall to hold him up. Now Bays, Wren to put the pressure on. Bays, Wren brings him to ground, still Bays. Mitchell and Smart. Smart, Kapler with him, Marshall and now Lawson. Stalemate for the moment and a bounce down. 17-12, 8-2, 114 to 50. And those are the binoculars that Graham Corns likes to look through, so you can get a real close look at how his charges are going. Wren, Saliba, he'd be pretty happy with those two charges. McDermott back to Saliba. Very good play. Saliba's drop punt, a good one towards Tasker on the run. Tasker half volleyed it all right, got a high tackle, free kick against right.
That's a poor effort for a tackle.
Tasker quickly onto the pocket and sitting underneath the lip tack. Well played, Lewis. Carroll to concede a behind. First behind of this term for either side. Adelaide 17-13 to 8-2.
I think all Gary Buckenara would like his players to do is stick on their man, stay with the player, but they're far too undisciplined, and there's far too many Adelaide players running free when Adelaide are controlling the ball.
Dennis Carroll to the half-back line. It clears the pack. There's Andrew Jarman on to Schwert. Stephen Schwert, oh, loose men everywhere. Scott Lee at 50 metres. Now, one thing about Scott Lee, he is a beautiful kick. And although he will have to kick right on 50, maybe 51, he'll just about make the distance. Nearly make the distance, I would think. Scott Lee. Oh, look at that drop punt, a booming one, but he's hooked it. It doesn't actually quite make it. He kicked it too high, but it's still in play. Matthew Liptak brings it back. Scott Lee again with a chance. Straightens up. I might have to change my mind about his kicking there, Tim, because he's hooked two shots.
No, you're a very good judge, man.
Thank you. I was just waiting for that. 17-14. Plays 8-2, but really this is one of the most disappointing efforts I've seen from the Swans in a long time.
Nettlebeck straight down the centre. El Higgins dropped it. Now Mitchell, fit of the fumble. Still Mitchell over the top. Lewis, left foot. Strooper and Maynard. Lawson, Smart, caught in the end, but got it out to Daryl Hart, who's been very good. Talk about very good. Adelaide's been excellent this term. Free kick to Brown. Brown early in the match kicked a goal for Adelaide. Only Port Adelaide player playing tonight. Tim told me on the plane on the way over. Tasker's kicked, Brown's kicked a Tasker in the half-forward line.
Port Adelaide have got half ex-Collingwood playing for them with Mark Williams, Greg Phillips and Bruce Abernathy.
Tasker, we're not going to claim Greg Phillips, are you, Pete? He did start his career at Port Adelaide. I've got to bristle a bit after that one. Tasker from about 45 metres out. Well, he kicked his third.
Adelaide doing as they like at the moment. Terry Threpp has had a quiet night. David Marshall smothered off the boot by Mitchell. Now it's Doolan. Kapler, he goes to ground. Hart has been well on top of Lawson. Jamie Lawson just doesn't do enough. Ingerson, wide. Liptak, a little terrier. Oh, it's tapped on further afield to Maynard. Now this racing away with his Nigel Smart in towards half forward. Stephen Wright, oh, he did take that mark. I think that was a good decision by the umpire. Steve Wright wanting to give the hand pass. Now he elects to kick it. Centre of the ground is Gareth John. And I don't know about those gloves. They just don't look right to me, Tim, as the kick comes in towards half forward. Taken by Brunton. Mitchell. Now let's see what he can do with this one. The lead is by Mitten Connell, who has been absolutely fantastic at full forward, and with limited opportunities, kicked 5. Playing in front, fighting for the ball, a terrific effort by Simon Minton-Connell tonight. He'll have to kick from 50, and I personally hope he kicks his 6th here. Beautiful kick. What a great effort by the full forward. 6 goals, Simon Minton-Connell. You can really hold your head up high tonight. 6 goals out of 9, and he is fighting like heck to get the Swans back into it.
Yes, if you take Minton-Connell 6 goals out of the Swans score, you're left with 3. He really has been their only leading light in this.
Thanks for that maths exercise.
You're happy with my
Thanks
maths,
a lot for that.
Don Scott wouldn't have got it right. 9 take 6.
Can you try that again?
Sorry, I've got a calculator here.
Go on then, Tim. Yes, Minton-Connell's kicked 2/3 of the score, as Tim just told us. High tackle there on Smart and a free kick. Nigel Smart from the centre. So Adelaide 18-14 to 9-2. And Minton-Connell's contribution has been quite outstanding. Tasker, who's really enjoying having a run on the forward line, and Nettlebeck and he, who started the match at the other end of the ground and now are up this end.
Yes, actually, what I was about to say about Minton-Connell is his contribution has been significant. The 6 goals out of the 9.
Well, it's not very often backmen go down the forward line and kick goals. It's normally the other way around. Oh, there's Marshall on the lip tap. Lip tap brings it in towards goal, and that must be Dunkley. That looked a characteristic thump over the line. And yes, it is Andrew Dunkley who punched it away, but it was punched through for a behind, in fact. But we talk most. There's been some great forwards that have gone down and become champion fullback. Well, not great forwards, but they've become champion fullbacks, but not very often the other way around, Bruce.
Now, Peter, I think I know what you're saying.
But forwards, it's harder to play on the forward line.
Oh, well spoken as a great full forward, and you were a champion. Now, Jarman, he's been pretty good tonight. Brunton, quick kick off the ground by Bickley, who's a real terrier. Lee there, and Sydney throwing themselves on the top, that time through Thripp, and a bounce down. Sean Wren to go here against John. Gee, Tunbridge has had a quiet one tonight, hasn't he? And that out of play, and it'll be a ball in.
Yes, he hasn't been on his own, though, Bruce. There's been a lot of Swans players who have looked out of touch tonight.
Oh, look at that little fellow sitting up there. Pretty good crowd, really. It is, we think, the smallest for the season at Football Park, but we're still talking about well over 30,000 people. A game between 10 versus 12. You'd be battling to get that anywhere else in Australia. The kick off the ground by Bickley. Lee, pressured out of it by Higgins. Unfairly, the Crows supporters say. Mitchell got it off Lewis for another possession. Smart well played at the back. Kapler's left foot awkward. Hart should take it. He does. Normally does something with it. It's called touch play on. And the mark taken by Liptak. He should have some runners. Saliba wide. Marshall wide and Maynard. He finds Saliba. Now Marshall running for him, and so's Maynard. He's normally pretty clever, Saliba. Chips the pass to Murphy, a good one. And he takes the mark. And we've been talking a lot about Saliba tonight, but he is very, very impressive.
He's a class player, Saliba, and what impresses me most about him, I think, is the fact that he always tends to choose the right option.
Andrew Jarman's been doing a lot of work with him. They've been doing some training together, Saliba and Jarman, and they might be rubbing off a bit because look at Wren and John here together at centre wing. Way off the play, players coming in. Murphy goes for goal number 5 and kicks it. Brawl going on at centre wing as Murphy's kicked his 5th, and gee, I could be facetious, Tim, and say that's as much action as a lot of the Sydney players have seen for a while, but I shouldn't say that. 19-15 to 9-2.
Yes, well, John has got the gloves on, Bruce.
I think we should leave it at that.
Very good line. We'll pay that one.
129 to 56.
A bit of a mismatch, one with gloves on and one without gloves. But the bare knuckle fighters of the old days used to do pretty well. As the ball will be bounced in the centre again.
We have spoken a lot about the inept performance of the Swans tonight, but we can't take it away from the Adelaide Crows. Their pressure has been relentless tonight.
That's dead right. Sometimes you do forget that and take credit where it's away from where it's due. Now there was a holding. Now which way will it go? Well, it's going to Gareth John against short rim. The Adelaide crowd don't like it, but they're a great crowd here. I love their football, these Adelaide supporters. And no doubt they'll be out in force for the State of Origin match too on the 7th. And here's little Joe. He went without it, Jamie Lawson. That just doesn't do enough for a little man. Here's a chance. Another goal coming up. Simon Minton-Connell has kicked his 7th. Great effort. So, well, what a performance in a losing side. 7 out of 10 he's kicked, but they trail 10-2 to 19-15, the Swans.
He's been a great player tonight, Simon Minton-Connell, but this is about the 5th time Jamie Lawson has gone for the ball and left it behind. He seems to take his eyes off the ball at the last minute rather than attacking the ball and running through the ball. And it's something that you can work on as a player and something that he'll have to work on if he's to continue in the AFL.
Well, Minton-Connell's kicked 7 goals for the 2nd time this season. And of those 7, he's kicked the last 5. It's some contribution, isn't it? Dunkley caught holding the ball. So McDermott whips it back to Smart. Adelaide leading 19-15 to 10-2. Smart's kick to centre-half forward. Micken went early, held his position pretty well. Brown went without it. Doolan's quick handball to Bickley, the opposition. It was smothered. Wright trying to crash his way through. Met fairly by McDermott, who goes to ground, gets it up in a hurry. Doolan's handball, OK, good vision there to Mitchell. Mitchell's left foot. Lawson and Hart underneath it. Lawson with one hand, still with a chance. Ben Hart, Lawson went to ground, tackled and worried out of it in the end by Smart. Daryl Hart's handball OK to Bickley. Bickley around the corner. Lee was the target, tried to fingertip her, and Higgins gets rid of him, pushes him out of it. Higgins on his wrong side, the right side, back to Strooper, who I haven't seen for ages. Might have, well, I'm not sure if he has been on the interchange or where he's been, but takes the mark at centre wing. Haven't spotted him for a long time. No.
Strooper to half forward. Gareth John. Taken by Nigel Smart. Bickley. Now Maynard. Well, he chips it in towards half forward. He's looking for Micken. Micken couldn't mark. There's Brunton crashing his way through. Micken in after it again. Brown on the right foot, hooks it back. Daryl Hart's everywhere. Geez, playing well. The chip pass, a clever little kick to Liptak. Liptak wide. They can raffle at this one. Scott Lee takes it. Oh, shocking kick. He's kicked it straight to Thripp. They gave the guy a rap before for his kicking, but he hasn't kicked well tonight. And Leon Higgins will belt it out to centre wing, and he's found the target there in Doolan.
Yeah, poor finish. He had someone running outside of him too, who was on the move. Drop pump by Doolan to centre half forward. Thumped away at the back by John. In the ground, back to Mitchell. No free. Yes, it's going to go back to him. Again, a big possession getter, Barry Mitchell tonight. In the AFL All-Australian team last year. And playing his 161st game tonight, the 26-year-old. Who must be one of the few players who are actually playing whilst under suspension. Ingerson, Minton-Connell, who's been the star for Sydney with 7 goals and a ball up. It's an interesting one, the Mitchell one. I guess we can't talk about it too much tonight, but it looks like it's going to go as Patterson gets himself ready. He was injured earlier. Looks like the AFL are going to challenge Sydney on it. I just wonder if it was at finals time, what sort of a catastrophe it would be. Here's Bickley. Well,
wrong option.
Yes, it was in the end, wasn't it? Lewis's little kick to the space. Carroll, or Bickley's made up for it pretty well. Lawson gives a free kick away to Hart. He's really thrashed Lawson tonight. It's been very, very good, Hart. A bit of a wobble, but getting back.
He's a very attacking back pocket too. He makes the forward chase him right down the field, and at times he probably forgets that he's no longer playing in the forward line.
Well, he's known as a goal sneak too. Oh, there's a stupid free kick given away when the man had dropped the mark.
Aren't they undisciplined at the moment, Sydney?
Doolan straight into his back well after he dropped the mark. Here's Liptak looking for Ben Hart. He's found him. Now Hart chips it in towards the half-forward line. The race is on. Steve Wright taps it over the line.
The mathematical equation might suggest that the Swans can't make the final 6, but really you've got to play for your pride no matter what the situation is, and the Swans have let themselves down in that department tonight.
Well, in that quarter, Tim, Adelaide kicked 8-3 to 2 goals. Saliva's been given a free kick. What's happening here? The siren sounded. It's a long, long way out. Couldn't possibly score, you wouldn't think. And the umpire is letting him know that he can have a kick if he likes. It's 10-2 to 19-15. But, well, he's going to kick from about 53 or 54 metres, the young fellow. And unless he surprises me, he won't make the distance. But that's the result, falling a bit short. So at three-quarter time, it's all Adelaide. They've had a terrific third term. They lead 129 to 62.
Inside.
As Gary Buckenara leaves the ground, Simon Minton-Connell, Tim Watson, he's kicked the last 5 goals and 7 goals from 8 kicks.
There's been a magnificent performance from Minton-Connell, the only star on the ground tonight for the Sydney Swans, and we noticed they kept together after Gary Buckenara had left the field. They all gathered there in a huddle, and hopefully they've sort of made some sort of a pledge for this last quarter, because they've been very disappointing up till three-quarter time.
Well, no question about that, Tim, as Minton-Connell trudges towards the goal square and Sydney trying to rev themselves up. Peter McKenna, as we have a look at the match stats to date after three quarters.
Yeah, so they should favour Adelaide. That's not very often you see a discrepancy in the kicks like that. 173 to 111, and then you look at the handballs, Tim. 104 to 69 and marks 46 to 30. Well, that's an enormous difference, and I'd say lack of effort by the Swans. 277 to 178 possessions. Wow.
Let me work it out. That's almost that's almost.
Sydney salvaged something from the wreck. Here's Higgins. Back to centre wing. John in the front spot. Got a knee in the back, and I thought he might have held that. Jarman, now Doolan. Quick kick to centre half forward, a floater. Strooper. With him is Maynard. Tapped on by Kapler. Bickley, who's played as a sweeper tonight. He's mopped up on many occasions. Now McDermott going to ground. Kelly. Bays. Swings it wide. Lawson. Now Lee looks like he's playing as a defender. Carroll, the captain, goes short. That finds Dunkley, who might be up in the forward line. Looks like they've made some changes, Sydney, as well. Mitchell around the body to full forward. Ingerson, Minton-Connell at the back, and this time, for once, he's beaten. And it hasn't happened too many times tonight. Ingerson, free kick.
It's about the first time Simon Minton-Connell has been caught behind. Now, that was Bickley. Oh, that's nearly a throw. That should have been paid a throw against Hart. Now, Minton-Connell coming in to chase. Oh, there are too many crows around, though, as Nigel Smart cleverly out to Scott Lee. Well, he knew he had plenty of space and plenty of time. That's why he just casually went after it, and then brings it to half forward to Jarman, who's been a great player again. He drops the mark, but then goes and gets it. Still got it, Jarman, with class. Liptak looking for an option. Matthew Liptak in towards half forward. The lead was on, and Tasker thinks all his birthdays have come at once. He has started off in defence, and he's kicked 3 goals, and he'll kick for goal from 50 metres. Sean Tasker. And looks as though he's enjoying the stint down forward. Normally a good kick. That is an excellent kick. That's his 4th. So they just roll on, Adelaide. In a one-sided game, 2015, Adelaide lead Sydney 10-2.
Well, what I'd like to see is that the Swans players picked up a man and played on him for the rest of this game. Scott Lees was out on his own on the halfback flank, probably 60 metres in the clear, had all the time in the world to pinpoint the ball down the field, and it really has been a poor performance.
2015 to 10-2. Wren to go in the ruck against John. Wren favoured by the bounce. John coming in, and Mitchell strongly trying to tap it on as Dunkley. John over the top now. Kelly around the body. Lawson, who normally leads in the race, and for once he's able to take control of it. Jamie Lawson, the handball to Brunton, swings it out wide. Maynard caught. Strong tackle by Mitchell. Here's Kapler, still Kapler. Left foot goes for it and kicks it out of play. Just bouncing inside the line for a throw-in in the pocket. Kapler, ex-South Adelaide. David Kapler, his older brother, and Darren were playing together in the early 80s. Darren went across to Fitzroy, where he had a pretty good career, and now with Sydney.
That's a free kick.
Yes, going to Wren against Tunbridge, who's pretty disappointed, but gee, unless something's wrong with Brad tonight, he'd be disappointed with his own form because he's had an excellent season, but he hasn't had a look in. There's Ben Hart to Marshall.
But his last few matches have been nowhere near as good as the ones at the start of the year.
First time I've seen him for a while, Maggie.
No, he started off in a blaze of glory the first 6 or 7 games. Now it's thumped away towards half. Here's Minton Connell way out at half forward, working hard on to Mitchell. Oh, dangerous hand pass because he was covered, Tunbridge. Not a good hand pass by Barry Mitchell. Should have kicked it. And there's Scott Lee went without it. Tackle is on Dennis Carroll. That was by Jarman, and he comes out with it. Jarman cleverly to Schwert. This is lip tack over the top, and they're off and running again. Adelaide. Brown on the left foot kicks it wide. Tasker can't mark, but it's a loose ball to Patterson. Patterson can race into goal here, and Patterson chips it and misses a sitter from directly in front. Well, Max Stevens is down on the boundary with a report.
Daryl Hart sitting on the bench, Peter, with Tony McGuinness. He has a bruised groin and will come back if needed.
Well, here's Lewis. He's been a disappointing player tonight, Dale Lewis. As he goes wide to Gareth John. Here's Kepler. And Kepler takes it over the line, but really no great urgency by the Swans players. But I suppose we can harp on that a little bit too much, and we maybe should be giving a lot more credit to Adelaide.
36 scoring shots to 12. It's only the 3rd time this season Adelaide's managed 20 goals. It's been their problem this year to kick a winning score. Richmond and North Melbourne, the other 2 games, have managed it. High tackle on Doolan, free kick from halfback. Quick handball away to Lewis. Up to the centre. Here's Smart. Adelaide players outnumbering Sydney. Left, right and centre. Angove is the lone player there. Here's Ingerson. Gee, Adelaide have made some mistakes in this exchange. And Minton Connell to Strooper, to Carroll. Carroll's high left foot. Gee, that's a poor effort. It's conceded ground. In fact, I don't know why Maynard didn't try and mark it. He waited for it to bounce. He'll get away with it. It's been a comedy of errors there for a moment. As Ben Hart to centre wing. Saliba over the top of right. Now Brunton. Slow handball, wasn't it, to Mitchell. Now Jarman, who's really been the class act on the ground. Off the ground by Mitchell. Good bounce. Couldn't have got a better one there, Maynard. It just popped up into his chest. Lawson coming on for Kepler, who looks to be injured. And Saliba takes the mark at centre wing. And just pops a short one to Marshall, who made a mess of it and should give a free kick away to Doolan, out of play.
I think perhaps there's been quite a bit of dew that's settled on the grass as the night's worn on, and I think that's contributing to some of the players fumbling. Well, giving them the benefit of the doubt anyway.
Centre wing. Pushing and shoving. Gareth John. Eventually it ends up with Steve Wright. Now Dale Lewis chips it in. Oh, the mark dropped on the chest by Angove. And I agree with you. As we see Darren Kepler receiving attention. Oh, could be the knee, the way that the trainer is attending to him. Let's hope not. But definitely the way, looking at that knee, let's hope it's not a serious knee injury, because it seems to be becoming more prevalent in football as the years go by. Well, there's Andrew Jarman. He's got a lot of cheek about him, hasn't he, Andrew? But a good player.
I think he's very decisive with his ball work.
Marshall to the man in question. Oh, well played. To Marshall. Mickinon wrestling with Bays. He's struggling to get the most out of Bays at the moment. He's a very talented player. Saliba again to a space. This time Thripp leading. Brown tripped up accidentally, and let's hope he's all right.
He does remind you a lot of Gary McIntosh, Saliba, doesn't he? Very similar movement and his vision.
Yeah, carbon copy, Tim. McIntosh was really raw when he came in the South Australian National Football League. Started about the same time as Tony McGuinness, and they had some great duels. Now Schwert. Now Murphy, he's kicked 5. Lewis manhandling him. Still Murphy. Should have given the reflex handball. Unable to do so in the end. Going to ground was Marshall. And Stevie Wright conceding ground. Left foot. Kelly running onto it with a fair bit of courage there. Tasker with him. Still Kelly. Tasker worrying him. Kelly over the top. Nettlebeck comes in, claiming a free kick. But Tasker just good persistence there from the forward line. The backman, who He's enjoyed his stay in the forward line tonight with 4 goals. So Adelaide lead 136 to 62.
Well, here's Micken against Bays. And going to the line. Was that deliberate by Steve Wright? In fact, it was out in the full, was it?
It's been given a free kick for around the neck, but one of the real differences tonight has been the pressure that's been applied by the Adelaide forwards on the back line, and the Swans haven't been able to get clear possessions out of their back line, where it's been a different story up the other end of the ground.
Well, there was Strib. Oh, Maynard ran into McDermott. McDermott, the quick kick to half forward, taken by Barry Mitchell. Is that 50? The Adelaide crowd don't like it against Paul Patterson. I think he did knock it out of his hands, but he might have conned him, Mitchell, too. As we see, you know, Lewis was off and running, but it has to come back. And Barry Mitchell, who will go, no, he handballs with Higgins. A half forward. This is Brunton. Brunton up towards the full forward area. Tunbridge. Now it's Minton Connell. Goes to the line and puts it over Andrew Jones. Trying to umpire the game as well. Not only does he want to control the ball all night, he wants to umpire. But he's a good player and a character, Andrew Jarman.
Over 30,000 here tonight on a bitterly cold evening now as Adelaide storming away. Mitchell round the body. Oh, Ben Hart, good mark. A real finger-tipper against the flow. And gives Minton Connell a shove away. So it's a bit cheeky too, that 17-year-old. Goes across wide to Maynard. Maynard's big kick. Well, here's a one-out situation. Schwert versus Lawson. And Schwert a bit tall on that occasion. Takes the mark now. Bickley running for him. And Schwert kicks it cleverly to a space. Bickley, if he gets a bounce, will be away from Strooper. Turns him inside out. Then centres the ball, looking for Patterson. Good kick. Saliba read it well, went to ground over the top of Patterson. Wright's chip pass, okay. Taken by Mitchell, who he's got the socks down. He always looks as if he's run out of puff, Mitchell, but he's dropped punt towards the 50-metre line. Big stretch by Tunbridge. Ben Hart, she's got some skills. Sean Wren gave it away in the end. And Kelly over the top. Hart, now Bays, still Bays. And again Bays with his left foot to the goal square. Minton Connell in the front spot, Ingerson at the back, and forced through for a behind. That's the first point Sydney has scored since half-time.
Although the Adelaide fans would be a bit disappointed with their performance so far this year, they have got a lot of young players that look exciting and will be good players in the future.
Here's Bickley over the top to Schwert.
Stephen Schwert, oh, he got himself into trouble then. And now the umpires see this one play on, and it will be a throw-in. And Max Stevens again has a report on the boundary line.
Darren Kapler, Peter, has a bruised knee. It's not a serious injury, and it'll only be strapped.
Well, that's good news, as we see it tapped on by Gareth John. Dennis Carroll is there, Matthew Liptak. Again, it'll be a bounce. What are you laughing at, Tim?
Always amuses me, that bruised knee that comes from the bench.
And you think it could be more serious, is that what you're saying?
Well, I know it's more serious than that, but it's always a bruised knee.
Been becoming very cynical since you retired, Tim. Now, there's Engove around the corner. Can Simon Minton Connell get there? He's got backup support. Oh, that could have been in the back to Tunbridge. McDermott, and it's slung away. Still McDermott. Quick hands, Engove. And Wallace still in play? No, it did cross the line, so it'll be a throw-in. And the sting's gone right out of this game.
Yes, just one goal so far in this final term, and we're at halfway. So not a lot has happened. Wren won the tap. Dunkley went to ground. And again, it'll be a ball up. But no mass exodus tonight by the Adelaide fans. They left in a hurry after 7 was charging away in the last quarter on Sunday night. But slightly smaller crowd all staying tonight, enjoying this big win. Free kick against John, going to Wren for wrestling him off, and Sean Wren from the back pocket. Adelaide will be pretty happy with this result. They can build from here and make something of a season. Now Carroll, Smart worried him out of it. Lawson over the top, Jarman there as well. Barry Mitchell still battling hard from 45 metres. Drop punt to the goal square. Well, Tunbridge sat and waited. Ben Hart made a mistake, and Tunbridge with strength kicks a goal.
Brundridge has been put down to the forward pocket, full forward area for a bit of a breather, and to see what Gareth John can do in the ruck. Now he wins that hit out. Socket off the ground. It was by Bickley. Now again off the ground by Lewis, but he kicks it straight to Wren. It's amazing how the ball follows the good players. And Sean Wren, the little chip kick to Schwert. Good play to go over the top to Saliba. Saliba with a bit of classy work. On it goes to Schwert with pace. Schwert in towards full forward. One-on-one contest. Murphy took front position. Now Liptak comes in to lend a hand, but forced over the line by Steve Wright. And one thing about Stephen Wright, Tim, he'll battle it right out to the finish.
Yeah, he's been a great competitor for a lot of years, Stevie Wright.
2016-11-3. Graham Corn still on the phone, but you wouldn't think there'd be panic stations at all in the Adelaide camp. Just fine-tuning things at the moment. Now Bayes. Good pick-up by Bayes. He's a skillful player, but under pressure straight to Marshall. Poor finish. Marshall charges towards goal, just pops it up. That's not a good kick either. Had Schwert on his own, and Lewis takes the mark.
Liptak, he should have just chipped it into Liptak.
He was also well and truly without anyone on him. Now Fripp to centre wing. Carroll worried out of it by Smart. Now Bickley, and through his legs and out of play. So not a lot happening for the moment. 2016-11-3. We'd like to be painting a different picture for you, but it's impossible.
No, it's not a good game at the moment. I think Graham Corn's a bit too impressed with his own players in this quarter, Tim.
No, but I think at the end of the day he'll just be happy with the win.
Yes, and doesn't look as though they'll make the final six, Adelaide. And a lot of people felt they would this year.
If you go through some of their young players, they've got Schwert, Liptak, Saliba, Ben Hart, Wren. They've got a very bright future, the Adelaide Crows, and
Modra.
Well, Modra too. They've got
Jamison.
a lot of good young players, and really the side is having the second-year blues. Last year they played on a lot of enthusiasm. This year they've found it a little bit tougher, but I think they might be the big improvers again next season.
Well, they'll always be hard to beat over here with this enthusiastic crowd yelling for them. And there's a free kick going the way of Barry Mitchell, centre wing. Now Mitchell very slow to get rid of it, as he now bombs it in towards half forward Strooper. No mark. Backup support from Kelly. Kelly in towards the pocket, and the mark has been taken by Lewis. Dale Lewis is a left footer, and a long kick. Now he probably thinks he can make the distance. I really feel he should have turned around and belted it in towards full forward quickly. But he is a long kick. No doubt he'll make the distance from here as he brings it across the face slightly. Mitten Connell at the back was the flyer. Tackle was by Dunkley. Still going in after it, Dunkley, and finally it's forced over the line, so it'll be a throw in deep in that forward pocket for the Swans.
His short quarter at this stage, just 2 goals scored, 1 to each team. Wren in the front, at the back was John. Brunton was there looking for a free kick. Jarman, Angove, Saliba, and bustled out at the end, but not before the umpire.
They really are a nothing kick, those 50-metre kicks, aren't they? I think it'd be better off a player kicking the ball about 10 or 15 metres out from the top of the square and trying to create a crumb and trying to create a goal, rather than kicking the ball almost down onto the goal line and for a spill behind.
Mitchell, and over the top, well, John and Patterson and Carroll getting amongst it.
That's the problem with the Swan players, is they showed aggression at the wrong time. When they had the opportunity to put their bodies in on the ball and win the hard, tough balls, they haven't done it. And
Wren, now Carroll, the captain, back to the goal square. Minton Connell in a wrestling match. Still Minton. Here's number 8. Kicks it. It's his best effort this season. He kicked 7 against Hawthorn earlier in the year. So 8 goals for Minton Connell. It's going to be pretty hard to hold out of the top 3 votes here with that performance. 2016-12-3.
First Carroll putting this ball high up into the air, and really I think the only guy that knew where the ball was in the end was Minton Connell. All the other players were left struggling on the ground, and an easy goal in the end.
Centre wing, Saliba and McDermott. Now Liptak in towards full forward. Good lead. Very good lead, Tasker. He looks as though he might find a little niche down there on the forward line, although probably on tonight's standards a bit hard to judge. He's kicked 4 though, Tim.
Yes, and he's led well. And perhaps the Swans players haven't put enough pressure on when the players had the ball upfield. They made it very difficult for their own backmen.
Sean Tasker going for goal number 5 from directly in front. Kicks a very high one that's close. I think it's a goal. It is. Tasker, 5 goals, a good effort after starting in defence. Adelaide, 21-16, lead Sydney 12-3, and Sean Tasker looks very pleased with himself.
Yes, and Liptak's been a good player, delivering the ball then to Tasker.
Tasker with 5 before a crowd of 31,593. The least number that have turned up at Football Park this season, but it's cold, it's Friday night, and their team has only won 2 of its last 8 games. They should be congratulated. It's a terrific crowd in the circumstances. And speaking of terrific, what a good mark there by Mark Bickley. Drop punt back to centre half forward. In the front spot, Mick and Bays over the back to a space. Angove, who started okay with a few touches, but has had little impact. And that one was awkward. Still in play, is it? There's Carroll. Still in play. And still in play as Maynard. And now finally running out.
A terrific pressure then by the Adelaide players.
Bickley getting a tap on the head as Strooper looks on from Andrew Jarman, and well, those 3 young girls making their debuts, just like Saliba tonight, as he's caught. And still over the top of it. And Jarman wrestling with Kelly and Mitchell. And it'll be a bounce down 50 metres out. So Adelaide 21-16, Sydney 12-3, 39 scoring shots to 15.
Well, Wren and Gareth John wrestling again. Brunton. Smart cleverly to Bickley. That was good play. On to Marshall. Marshall to Liptak. But reading it well over the back was Steve Wright. Now the quick hand pass has gone to Jamie Lawson, who's been a very quiet player. Bays finds Doolan. Doolan on centre wing. In towards half forward, the Crows players come from everywhere, but that was a good mark taken by David Strooper.
I think it's about the first time tonight we've seen a Swans player take a clean mark around centre half forward. They've really fallen down across their half forward line tonight.
Well, he's kicked 1, Strooper, the former Fitzroy player. Only had 3 kicks. It's a fair way out. It's a drop punt. Not a bad looking kick, just slightly across the face, and helped on its way for a behind to the Swans. 21-16 to 12-4, and you can see by the scoring shots Adelaide been far the better side.
11-goal game at the moment. Adelaide leading by 9 goals, 12. Maynard in the front should give a free kick away, and he does to Sydney. Barry Mitchell, who's really accumulated in this final term a lot of stats. Higgins, short, finds Nettlebeck. Nettlebeck's going to go short again. Tunbridge the target. Brunton at the back. Waiting for him was Jarman. Is that a throw? Gee, looked like it. Saliba, whose vision has impressed Tim Watson tonight, and Peter McKinnon. That was good again to Swert. Now Smart running for Swert. He's going to pop it over the top to him. And he should be able to run away here from Mitchell. Smart goes with a strong kick to Tasker. Too far. Here's Murphy. Now between them, Murphy and Tasker have kicked 10 goals tonight, so they've been dual spearheads. Murphy off the ground. Liptak. Gee, that looked almost a throw. To Smart. To Tasker. To Liptak and Wright. Scooped along towards Mitchell with Smart, and a free kick to Barry Mitchell at half back. Well, I guess he gets a lot of kicks, Tim, because he just keeps getting where the footy is. He's at one end and then at the other.
Yes, his work rate is phenomenal.
One of the fittest players in the AFL is Peter McKenna. Tightens up the coat because it's pretty cold here in his bays.
It's freezing, and it must be hard for the players out there. It's To be careful of those hamstrings. Tony McGuinness already done his. Oh, there's an ordinary kick by Nettlebeck. Now, Minton Connell has kicked 8. Right out at half forward, fighting for it. It's stuck between his legs and he can't get it out. Eventually, it comes to the line and over.
When you consider that Adelaide lost McGuinness early in the game, this has been a very good performance because he is perhaps their best on-ball player.
Wren doing the battle. I guess Chris McDermott, whilst he's been all right, hasn't been dominating. So they're 2 big possession getters. There's Lawson, well played. Charges for goal and kicks it. Well, a goal out of nowhere for the man that Gerard Healy has dubbed Speedy Gonzalez. 21-16 to 13-4.
And really, whilst we don't want to labour the point, he is Speedy Gonzalez, but he must remember to take the ball with him on those other occasions. And
he took it all right that time, Tim, didn't he?
He did. He did.
Well, Jamie Lawson's been a very quiet player, but he kicks a goal. There's Gareth John. The big thump to half forward. Now Brunton. Up to full forward, but reading it well was Hart. And I don't know, with Tunbridge up there in the pocket, I think just getting in the way of Simon Minton-Connell a bit. I would tend to leave Simon Minton-Connell 1 out up in the square. Now here's Bickley, who's always, I think he's done a hamstring then. I reckon he went down with a hammy then, and it's such a cold night, I wouldn't be surprised as we see Chris McDermott chip it across to Liptak, and I'll just look back. Oh, he might be all right. Back there, Bickley. This is Liptak. In towards the pocket. Casca, can he get it again? Yes, he can. Oh, he's wrapped. He's kicked 5, and he's going to shoot for his 6th from about 40 metres.
And I think he surprised himself on that occasion.
He tried to punch it, I think. Yes, he did. And 3 bites of the cherry. Going for goal number 6, Sean Tasker. He's been kicking beautifully. There's a drop punt this time. He shuffles it across the face and through for a behind only.
Here's 5 to Tasker, 5 to Murphy, 3 to Liptak, all in the first term. 21-17 to 13-4. Thrip straight down the centre. John and Wren. I think Wren's exhausted. He's touched the ball so much. Here's Maynard. Loves to kick a goal. The defender. Well, here's a chance for Brown from the missed kick, and he takes it. Happened to be in the right place at the right time. Higgins arguing the point, and Brown just telling him to get off with a minute remaining.
The crowd are funny, even at this late stage, wanting a 50-metre penalty to make a certainty of it.
It's called enthusiasm, I think, Peter. They're enjoying this at 21-17 to 13-4. It's equal to Adelaide's 2nd highest score so far of the season. They kicked 23-13 against Richmond. There's a goal. 2 for Brown, and Adelaide at 22-17 to Sydney 13 goals for.
Well, a moment ago, Bruce spoke about exhaustion, and Gary Buckenara really has exhausted himself making moves tonight. I noticed before Thripp kicking out at full back. Nettlebeck's gone up to the forward line, but Thripp's been a backman, been a forward. Is a backman again, and Gary Buckenara really has tried to make as many moves as he can tonight to get something happening.
Well, we're back in the centre as the Swans try and take it forward. Mitchell took a bit of a dive, a quick kick then by Andrew Jarman. And the umpires found a free kick here to the Swans. Gareth John. Now let's see if they can get it down there and get another goal for Simon Minton-Connell, who's kicked 8. Oh, look at that, uncontested at half back. That's not good by the Swans. Paul Patterson chips it across to Hart. Oh, he looks so stylish. He's a good player. On to Bickley. Well, so much for that hamstring as Bickley sprints away and kicks it straight to Gareth John.
Still, he doesn't look 100%, Peter. He's still hobbling a bit off the play. Right to centre wing in the dying seconds of what's been a disappointing performance by Sydney, and a big win for Adelaide. And the siren sounds. Adelaide, their big win for the year. In fact, that would be their biggest winning margin this season at 22-17 to 34. That man was terrific. 8 goals, and so was that man, Sean Wren. Played a marvellous game. Really outstanding 20-year-old ruckman. Dennis Carroll would be bitterly disappointed. Played a lot of footy for the Swans. I doubt whether they've put in many more disappointing performances. That man in his first game at 19 years of age got his chance when Wayne Wiedemann didn't take his place in the 20. And he's got a cherubic face, and he's only a young-looking fellow, isn't he? And what about Murphy with his 5? Kelly, well, not his best season to date. Struggling a bit. But Adelaide big winners as we go down and join Max Stevens.
Sean Tasker, thanks for joining us. Well, you started in defence, and would you like to tell Graham Corns you'd like to stay in the forward line next week?
No, I still prefer defence. I find it a lot easier back there, but I was pretty happy with tonight.
Well, it was a great team effort, Sean.
Yeah, the boys really worked hard after a disappointing game last week. We were fired up to come out and show the spectators around Adelaide that, you know, we're a force to be reckoned with, and I think we proved that tonight.
Well, one guy whose performance was great tonight, you don't see a guy play a debut game like Adam Saliba did.
Yeah, no, Adam was just great tonight. He's just ball control when the ball hits the ground, and ability to find the body was just sensational.
Well, you used to play with him at North Adelaide. Are you surprised he hasn't been in the Crows earlier?
Yeah, I think it's just a case of Adam not being able to train with the Crows as often as possible and putting in the effort to, you know, make North a success for himself. So, you know, there's pros and cons for that. I trained at North and played at North and then got a game. I think Adam's done the same thing. I think it's the only way to go.
Well, I'm sure he'll be here for a few weeks to come.
I definitely think he will be.
OK, Sean Tasker, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks for that, Max. Peter McKenna's repped in Sean Tasker. A lot easier to play at the back, he reckons.
Dead right.
Yeah, 22-17 to 13-4. Final score from Football Park. 3-2 apiece, but that's just for the statisticians because the game was well and truly over at three-quarter time. Adelaide 22-17, 149 by 67 points over Sydney 13-4. Murphy kicked 5, Tasker kicked 5 for Adelaide, Liptak 3, and for Sydney, Simon Minton-Connor, well, he kicked 8 out of the 13. So, Tim, a really one-sided performance and a disappointment for Sydney, but for Adelaide, they've got something to build on now.
Well, I think so. I think they've got a lot of young players there with Wren, Liptak, Schwert, Saliba, Ben Hart. I think they've got a lot there to work with in the future, and I think they would be quite happy with the way they played tonight. And the Swans, well, they were very disappointed, and I know we kept harping on it during the commentary, but they were almost spiritless, weren't they?
Yes, after half-time, you thought they'd come out firing in the third quarter, and Adelaide were able to just sail away to the easiest possible victory. It's only the third time this season, Tim, that Adelaide has kicked over 20 goals, and that has been one of their problems this year, kicking a winning score. But these were the final quarter stats, and not surprisingly, they were the most even of the match.
Yes, it was a very even last quarter. The Sydney Swan players gathered together after Gary Buckenara had left the field, and they almost looked like they were making a pledge to each other to make themselves a little bit more competitive in that last quarter, and they were. Although I felt that the Adelaide players dropped off a little bit in their work rate, and that shows there with the stats very even in the last quarter. And I think even the tackles there is an interesting statistic. The Sydney players appeared to have a little bit more endeavour in the last quarter, and that showed there with 10 tackles as against 5. But if you look at the overall stats for the game, it really was a whitewash in that department. The kicks, 216 to 155. The handballs, 40 extra handballs to Adelaide players. And the other thing about their handballing was that they were creative with their handballing, whereas the Sydney players really were handballing after being tackled. And perhaps the other interesting statistic is the hit out there, 35 to 20, and Sean Wren, who's an exciting young player, getting the Adelaide players' first use of the ball for most of the night.
He's to more than 100 more possessions for Adelaide over Sydney. No wonder they won the match. So Adelaide big winners by 67 points. Well, it hasn't been all that funny here tonight if you're a Sydney Swans supporter, but Sandy Roberts and Warren Smith found some fun out of football in May.
Let's have a look at what Derry Kicker can do with this.
Oh, by golly, my gosh, by gee, Ian Robertson. What a great way to begin the plays of May. Although I don't think that Jim Steins would agree because he was flattened by Andrew the Slam Dunkley. Mark Bairstow pulled off the con of May when he received a free kick after colliding with his teammate, Damien Burke. One of the many off-field highlights of May happened during the State of Origin clash at the MCG, when some budding aeronautical engineer launched his footy records special into the stratosphere.
Not a lot of breeze here tonight, but that's a wonderful glide.
Congratulations are in order to Alistair Lynch for taking the initiative to use a drop kick when shooting for goal, even though he was only 2 metres out. Those Lions are certainly playing with confidence. And commiserations to James Manson for kicking into Matty Larkin's back from point-blank range. Ah, James, it's enough to give you... The sheiks of the SCG had plenty to dance about at the premiere of Doug Hawkins' new career, the Phantom of the Western Oval. To the most unusual behind, and young Shane Watson decided to hit both goalposts. Sorry, Shane, but it counts as only 1 point. Even the Dennis Committee fan club was out in May. Yes, it was all happening. What about Justin Madden and Michael Long's attempts at volleyball? Or the launch of Bump and Ump Week, while Troy Ugle qualified for the final of the policeman's hurdle. Ah, yes, it's great to see the boys in blue show off their footy skills, especially when they enjoy themselves with a little kick to kick at the end of the day. However, it seems as though not everyone enjoys a post-game kick. I think that policeman may be required. And so while Jeremy Gard kicks up his heels and Peter Foster takes a dip into Lake Carrara with Troy Clark, I'll wind up the plays of May with a poem honouring the great Aussie pie. Nothing is more elementary than eating a 4 and 20 on a wet Brisbane day on the 17th of May. Now, just a word of warning. Of course, you mustn't spill the sauce because it's hot and causes pain, while on clothes it may well stain. So remember, if you can keep the sauce off your wind cheater, you'll be a great Aussie pie eater. Thank you very much.
Well, what can we say? We can talk about something else, like the footy, Tim. Matthew Liptak, how do you think he played tonight?
Well, I thought Matthew Liptak was a very good player. He started off well in the first quarter, kicking 3 goals. And if you look at his statistics there, very consistent right throughout the game. Dropped off a little bit in the last quarter, but still 30 possessions. And was a very good game for Matthew Liptak and a very promising young player for the Adelaide Crows.
Barry Mitchell had a lot of touches, 25 and 14, but you didn't think they were that effective?
No, I didn't. I think he gathers a lot of possessions, but when you consider his possessions against someone like perhaps Jarman's, who creates and the ball flows on down the field, although Barry Mitchell keeps trying and he ran himself ragged in the last quarter, he really wasn't that effective.
Saliba, a terrific debut.
That's a fantastic debut for a young fellow of 19 years of age, 27 possessions. But what impressed me most about his possessions was that they went on down the field to somebody, and he was a very creative player, and his vision, he's going to be around for a long time, that player.
Hardly wasted a ball. Neither did Minton Connell, 8 goals from 9 kicks.
Well, Minton Connell was the only forward that the Sydney Swans had, and the dominating forward on the ground tonight.
Wren was excellent again tonight.
Yes, 23 hit-outs, and it's not only his hit-outs, it's what he does after the ball is knocked away from the centre bounce. He follows up like a ruck rover, and he's had 12 constructive handballs and also 9 kicks, and he's a very good player tonight.
And Bayes had little impact.
Well, Mark Bayes, he tried hard. He was switched from back line to forward line and then back again into the back line, but he really wasn't a dominating player tonight either.
So 6 of the players on the field tonight looking at their sets. We'll take a break from Football Park, back with more after this.
2 Premiership season league ladder.
No joy for Sydney, but for Adelaide, their match ratio's gone from 38 to 42. And their percentage from 85 to 89. And when you look at the points, they're 2 games out of the 6, so who knows? But a long way to go for Adelaide, but an improvement from tonight. Tim, let's look ahead, because there are a couple of terrific matches coming up on the weekend, and the standout tomorrow is Essendon West Coast.
Yeah, and it's a big test for Essendon. They've won their last 4 games, but they haven't beaten anyone above them. And tomorrow's game at the MCG will be a great test for them. And the West Coast Eagles, I was very impressed with them last week. They wore Hawthorn down, and the longer the game went, the better they looked. So that'll be a big clash there at the MCG tomorrow.
And the standout on Sunday in the match of the round, Geelong-Footscray, the 2 top teams. Footscray held top position for 4 weeks. Geelong took it off them last week. No Stoneham, no Burke for Geelong.
Yes, and I think for that reason alone, Footscray may perhaps get up and win that game. Stoneham is probably their most valuable player, being able to be switched from centre-half back to centre-half board into the ruck, and they'll lose and miss his flexibility. And I think that Footscray will bounce back after probably bitterly disappointed after their loss last week against Collingwood.
OK, so you're going for the underdogs there, Footscray. Don't forget the test match, the second test from Princes Park coming up right after this telecast. It's Great Britain versus Australia. Australia having won the first test. But the big winners tonight from Football Park, Adelaide, by 67 points over the Sydney Swans. Good night from the team.